The Fanatic at 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, every weekend has become more and more important. Now we have a crazy week ahead of us. The Sixers play-in tournament is set. Flyers' chance is still alive. Phillies continue to be the Phillies. And we got Johnny the K back. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I have to worry about a draft pick from 3 years from now when this team is currently in a mode where they could be competitors.
Hassan Reddick, the return is fairly even. I would have preferred to have this year.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, welcome back.
Good to see you. How are you? I know that this week ahead of us, as you just previewed, it's going to be a pretty wild ride.
Dude, it's
insane.
Ride. I mean, you were kind of talking about it right before the show started with Haley when it comes to the Flyers. Just the fact that we're here is amazing. The fact that the Sixers are here after losing 2 months of Joel Embiid is amazing. I mean, it's been a wild ride since we kind of got into the springtime. And it's been a lot of fun, man. I mean, there's been ups and downs. There's been plenty of downs, like, an 8-game losing streak for the Flyers of downs, and the Sixers winning 8 straight, and it really not changing anything except for going from 8 to 7.
That's wild.
But so much has happened, and, it's been a ton of fun talking about it all.
The only thing is that, we talk about the eight wins, which is crazy. Just move them from the 8 seed to the 7 seed. But the home game
it's important.
And guaranteeing yourself 2 chances at home.
Right.
To advance is big. But also, too, to me, it renewed my faith that the team has a shot.
Right.
They got on a roll. They were the hottest team in the Eastern Conference now as we roll into the play-in tournament. So, to me, the 8 wins, it didn't mean much as far as the standings. But it meant a lot up here for me.
I'm sure.
As a fan.
People are excited going into the playoffs.
Correct.
And people got chesty on social media yesterday, which we'll talk about. But it's great. I mean, that means people are on board and ready to go and ready to watch the Sixers. So a crazy weekend. Let's just recap it real quick. And then we have a question that we're going to get into that you and I kind of brought up last week. I think I even brought up 2 weeks ago. And we're really going to focus in on it. But the weekend that we just had, the Sixers take care of business. They win both of their games. But unfortunately for them, so did the Magic and so did the Pacers. So they climb up to the 7th seed. To John's point, it's great. They have 2 home games if they need 2 home games. Hopefully they take care of business Wednesday night and beat the Heat, and they're set, and they take on the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. But the Sixers get both their wins. There was another scare for Embiid the first game of the weekend against the Magic. Excuse me, not the Magic, but when he slips.
Against the Magic.
It was the Magic, yes. He slips. And it looked like he re-injured the knee, but then it started talking about maybe it was his ankle, and then he doesn't play yesterday, which sent shivers down everybody's spine.
Well, let's put it this way. The 76ers do not deserve, and we love the Sixers. They're our partners here and everything. They do not deserve the benefit of the doubt when it comes to telling us the truth or telling us what is really going on regarding injuries.
Man.
They play games. They had played games in the past. There's been, let's say, lack of information at times. I do not believe for 1 second, not one, that the Sixers said, we could fall to the 8th seed and have no home games maybe in our entire spring. We're okay with Joel Embiid just sitting out. And by the way, if they had lost that game to the Nets yesterday, then they would have been the 8th seed.
Right.
And they would have not been guaranteed to have any home gates in the spring. Get out of here.
I just
BS.
wonder.
BS.
I wonder. This goes back to what Connor and I talked about Friday. Connor was saying he wanted them to be as careful as possible with Joel Embiid, and I said, "Well, look, this is playoff time. Like we talked about how last week was the beginning of the playoffs for the Sixers, right? And I wanted them to go all out. Right? I don't do whatever you can to avoid Boston, which they did. Even though Embiid didn't play yesterday, they did what they could do, right? They won all their games. They had the 8-game winning streak. It's just unfortunate how it played out, where they remain as the 7th seed. So that means there's still a chance to avoid Boston, or to play Boston. If they lose, God forbid, on Wednesday, they will play Boston in the first round of the playoffs.
That's the only option then.
Right. And so I wanted them to do whatever they could to avoid the Celtics. And then Embiid gets tweaked. And Connor right away, he sent a text in the group right away, like all fired up. And, I told him to take deep breaths because he did come back into the game, and he played great when he came back into the game.
Plus, with Connor's text, it was right when Real Muto also gets
hit, by the fastball.
It's like, are you kidding me? Like, it really was.
Yeah, the stars aligned in a bad way.
That was like 2 minutes of our sports lives, and everybody was Connor at that moment.
Right.
Everybody was feeling it.
It wasn't great.
It was not a good moment. But I just will say to you is that I look at all the playoffs began last week.
Right.
I think Wednesday is to me, and we'll get into it during the week. I think Wednesday is pretty much it. You got to win Wednesday.
No, you have to win
For
Wednesday.
me to buy into a long-term run, I have to see them win Wednesday.
So, but are you concerned about Embiid?
Yes.
Because my first thought was to kind of what Connor was saying last week, to be careful with Embiid. Because if you lose Embiid, you have absolutely no chance. The fact that he was able to go back into the game Friday night and play as well as he did Friday night, I'm not that worried about his health right now.
All right, he went back into the game in the game that he got injured, and he injured him. And we all believe he injured himself more in the game that they put him in. I think it was in Utah when he got hurt. Then he went up the ramp. Then he came back. Then he got put back in the game. Then somebody falls on his knee. That's a different scenario when someone falls on your knee.
Right.
And
Jonathan Kuminga, who's 6'8", 200-some pounds.
That's a freakish thing that I think aggravated more what he already felt. I don't trust the Sixers in handling injuries. And I do not believe that yesterday, with everything that was on the line, they said, oh, yeah, we're fine. We can take care of this Nets team without him. I don't believe that was the case. And that's just my skepticism on that.
And you have every right to be skeptical.
Yeah,
you said, when it comes to this team and to this player specifically, right? When it comes with the Sixers and Joel Embiid, you have every right to be skeptical of whether or not he's okay.
But I am incredibly there is an incredible wave of optimism that if they can get by Wednesday, if they can find a way to win and then Embiid is ready to go and they're there, I feel really good after what I saw. Those 8 games were a massive cleansing breath.
Yeah.
And Tyrese Maxey, we love you here at the Fanatic, and Philly loves you, but he is – I saw some performances out of him that just really made me smile down the stretch.
And he was able to do it in some games without Joel Embiid during this 8-game stretch. But you see how much better he is with Joel Embiid because it just makes his life easier. He's a hell of a talent, but his life's easier.
Much
right?
easier.
So now his life's easier and he's talented. And, by the way, Buddy Hield had a nice game yesterday. I know it was without Joel Embiid, but we're starting to see Buddy Hield start shooting the ball well, especially with Embiid. He was 5-9 from 3 the other game against the Pistons. So this is good. I mean, guys are starting to come together. We have so much faith in Nick Nurse to be able to put these guys in the right position.
I do.
And so it's let's go, man. It's freaking playoff time. So a good weekend for the Sixers, even though it didn't play out to the best possible situation that we wanted. They did.
That's all we can ask,
They
right?
did their part, yeah. And then the Flyers. We'll go over to the Flyers. They beat the Devils 1-0. Right, you're just sitting there going, please just win this freaking hockey game.
I was like, I seriously am like, would you just hold on? My wife was saying to me, I had just come home from being out.
Right.
And she said, for God's sakes, you are screaming. Like in the last, get it out from front of the net.
Well, because they scored the goal in the second period. Now it's 20 minutes in the third of just your nail biting the whole time.
And I would tell you, I am willing to go back. I have notebooks. I have hardbound notebooks. I am willing to be able to say, hey, Torts, here's a notebook. Because the Flyers' power play is freaking horrendous.
Yes.
And I guarantee you that at least my power play. Now, I'm not saying I could coach an NHL team, but I promise you that I could say, here's what we're doing on the power play.
Right.
And it would look
so much better.
Much better.
Yeah.
It looks terrible.
It's been pretty
terrible.
It's been pretty bad. It's been pretty bad.
Oh, my gosh.
But that
they're alive.
win keeps them alive.
And more importantly, when we wake up tomorrow morning.
Dude, you said this to me when I first walked in
This
today,
is where
and
your
I love
brain
it.
bends. Capitals, Red Wings, and Penguins play tonight. If the Penguins lose, then you know you got a path to eliminate them tomorrow night. If the Capitals game means nothing tonight to Flyer fans, except this. If the Capitals win tonight, you got to beat them tomorrow night in regulation.
Right, not overtime.
Or, no, if they win tonight, you got to beat them in regulation.
Right.
If they lose tonight, you got to beat them in regulation or overtime.
Right.
So it gives you that little wiggle room. The Red Wings, we need to split. So
And they got 2 with Montreal.
if Montreal beats them tonight, I swear to you, game on.
And then tomorrow,
game on for tomorrow.
You were saying, you texted it to us, and then you said it when I first walked in today, that tomorrow could be a win-in-your-in situation.
Yes, it could be it could be.
And it's funny
if some
because,
things go
to
our
your
way.
credit, you were saying Game 7 last week against the Rangers. And Connor and I both said Game 8.
Yeah, it's like game 7.
And then they beat the Rangers.
And
They go to New York, beat the Rangers. They look like a team.
No, they look great.
That
was the greatest game I've seen them play in 2 months.
And the first thing I said, I tweeted it out, was imagine if they didn't have an 8-game losing streak going into this game.
And more importantly, I've been saying to people for a month, get tickets to that last
Yeah,
game.
you have been.
And tomorrow night's game means something. Game 82 means something. And even the diehard Flyer fan, people who love them, people who follow every game, not one of you believed that this game was going to mean something.
And now it does.
I know if you had asked me in December,
Right.
I wouldn't have thought game 82 would meant something.
I need it, dude. I need it. You
It'll
saw
be
how
so much fun.
saw how down I was last week.
Oh, it's gonna be so much
I
fun.
freaking need it, man. And lastly, we'll just touch on this quickly because we'll get into this more later on in the show. Phil split with the Pirates. My demand,
Thanks, Connor.
My demand of a 3-1, series
No, it's
victory.
him.
Connor, it's okay.
Connor Thomas.
It's
You should be
okay.
thanking me.
Let them split.
I'm
It's all
trying to
good.
protect you guys from yourself.
They lost to Bailey Falter.
You need to start listening to me because I'm trying to protect you from yourself.
And the
with
Pirates.
the Embiid
What do you
thing,
mean? What do you
with
mean?
the
I have
Pirates
to
thing.
listen to you. You said that you thought they were going to split. That doesn't make me happier.
I never said it should make you happier.
But why are you saying listen to you? I
I'm
don't want to
mentally
listen to you then.
preparing you for the possibility that they split with a team that came in pretty hot to the
geez.
series.
And
Unreal,
the Pirates smoke Zach Wheeler, which is just Zach Wheeler is blowing them away, and they just can't. But again, the offense does no freaking favors.
Nothing.
Does no freaking favors.
You get a game out of Trey Turner yesterday, but that was it.
And by the way, congrats. That was a nice one. But with Trey Turner, I've yet to see I want to see the turning of the corner. That was a big one yesterday, though. Maybe it helps him move on.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean,
And Bryce Harper looks lost.
4-game hitting streak, 7 in his last 8 games. He has a hit, so Turner is turned. But yeah, Bryce Harper, another O for yesterday.
I'm not doubting that Bryce Harper will figure it out.
No, of course not. But it's just
But it
disappointing when
sucks.
they're losing games, and then you look at the box score, and it's 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 2 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 4, 0 for 3. That's going back to April 8th.
And here's what I'd say to you. By the time we reconvene next Monday, the Braves will have played at the Astros and played the world champion Rangers, while the Phillies will be at home playing the Sad Sack Rockies and the Sad Sack White Sox. Connor, anything less than 4-2, anything.
No, he's going to tell us they're going to go 1-2 in this
Anything
series.
less than-
I don't be okay with it.
Anything less than 4-2 is unacceptable.
They have a very
5-1 should be the goal.
Well,
5-1 should be the goal.
Don't do that to them. Let them go 2-4. They'll be
You're playing two of the
fine.
worst teams in baseball at home.
5-1 is rough. Let's look at this series. They have a good chance they're going to beat the Rockies in this series. They have a good chance to sweep the Rockies in this series.
And if you sweep the Rockies, the White Sox are arguably maybe the worst team in baseball
Yes.
with the A's.
Yeah, we'll get to the White Sox series when we
So
get to
there
the
we
White
go.
Sox
I got
series.
you,
All
Mr.
right.
Locked On
So
Phillies podcast.
It was a
subscribe
wild
to.
weekend in Philadelphia sports where the Sixers, we now know that they're in the play-in game Wednesday night against the Heat. The Flyers tomorrow could be a win-and-you're-in situation.
which is absurd.
Right. It's
That would be
it's
absurd.
amazing. Even forget the 8-game losing streak. The expectations going into this season, period. It's absurd.
I think it will be I will tell you right now, my call is tomorrow night will be a win, you need some help scenario.
okay.
That's what it's going to be.
Okay. Sounds good.
So it'll be win.
But the fact that that's
Get some
even a
help.
conversation
Yes.
is great. All right, now lastly, here's our main topic today, right? That was kind of a reaction to this weekend. I have a
That was
question.
wild, by the way.
It was a crazy
That was
weekend.
exhausting 14 minutes.
It really was. So we have a question for you guys that we would love for you to respond with on the text line or the phone line, 610-632-0975, same number. I'll just ask the question right away, and then I'll explain. Do we really have it all that bad here? And I asked that question. You brought it up quickly last week. I've said it a couple of times. It kind of stems off of my we're in the good old days kind of conversation. Now, when it comes to our blood pressure and maybe mental stability when it comes to Philadelphia sports, it's hard.
Do we
right
have
now.
mental stability here?
No, we don't.
We don't, and every one of us contributes to it, by the way, on these airways.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because we all have different angles, and there's angst for
Yes.
something all the time, right? But the question, do we really have it all that bad, is the Philadelphia sports scene. Even though it's been lots of heartache at the end of seasons, the fact that we have heartache means the teams are actually playing well and they're successful and they're making runs, and that should be celebrated.
I would say to you, and I say it all the time, and I got some buddies of mine who are anti this position. Wouldn't be surprised if we hear from one or two of them today. Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
Yeah.
I would rather go to the NFC title game and lose than be a team that never gets to the NFC title game.
So the
or
old
goes
Jeff,
out or
the
goes
old
out in the
Jeff
wild card
Fisher
round.
8-8, right?
I would rather my team get somewhere and the Phillies season last year, the end of it sucked.
Right.
The Braves series is going to put a smile on my face the second year in a row that we knock out the Braves. Personally, it means a lot for me.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. I love having hand over friends and
Yes.
everything. But I will tell you, that to me, I'd rather go through the heartache of Game 6 and 7 against Arizona than not be there to go through the heartache.
absolutely.
I've never understood the logic of this losing, man. I just can't take it anymore.
Right.
Dude,
I remember when we had the 3 straight championship losses in 100 days.
Oh, yes.
I remember, I think it might have been with the Sixers playoff series. Somebody, and look, it was one caller, so I'm not going to make the point that this was everybody in Philadelphia, but this was a mindset of somebody. Man, I just want them to lose in the first round because I don't even want to get my hopes up anymore.
It's ridiculous.
But there are people that feel that way, and it's crazy because I just went through a 10-year playoff drought with the Phillies.
You did.
The Flyers, I went through a Chuck Fletcher regime where you never felt great about the future, ever. The Eagles, dude, just 3 or 4 years ago, I thought they were going to have to blow it up. And they get to the Super Bowl 2 years later. I mean, it's amazing right now that I can sit back and think about my teams every single season as contenders. I know talking about the Eagles being back in the Super Bowl is a bit of a stretch right now, considering what happened last year. But if I could say on paper, at least, they are contenders on paper. The question is everything in the locker room taken care of? But like right now on April 15th, I'm not even going to have that conversation. My team in football is very, very good. My baseball team, as much as they drive us freaking crazy, is a good, talented baseball team. My hockey team that shouldn't even been close to playoff conversation could make the playoffs tomorrow. And then the Sixers, with all of the second-round disappointment, every single year you know that they are in the second round and a win or two away from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. It is better here. I could make the case that Philadelphia is probably the best sports scene across the country, and we'll compare them to other major cities today.
I mean, it is the most tired talking point that we've got it so bad here.
Right.
And so many people still trot it out. Man, we just get kicked in every time. BS. It's better. Again, I'd rather to be there to be kicked in the privates than not even be relevant. And I spent a long time of my life in another sports market that would kill to get to live the life that we've led.
I don't know anything other than being relevant. My life. I mean,
your lifetimes, you guys.
There was always a team.
I have called you and Connor.
Yeah.
And even Egan, even a little below, anyone below Egan's age. Spoiled brats.
Absolutely.
You are spoiled, entitled brats because you've had wonderful times. You didn't go through the deserts. That even though you guys are such seam heads, I will give you that it was a bad decade.
It was a bad decade, but during that decade, I had the only Lombardi Trophy,
right? Exactly.
During that decade, the Flyers at the beginning, right before the decade started, they were in the Stanley Cup, right in 2010. Like my other teams were still good, and then the Sixers, even though it was a process, I was a process truther, so like you were. I was something that I was excited for, but it's crazy, like. I know when the moment happens, when the final out happens in Game 7 of the NLCS, Game 6 of the World Series, when the buzzer sounds in Game 7 of the second-round matchup with the Celtics, of course we're going to feel angry, and we're not going to think, well, at least we were here. We're not going to think that in the moment. But months removed, at least we were there.
Bob would argue this with me, and we would get into this, and he has a great perspective on this. But his opinion would be totally different, and he'd say, you know, you're asking people to have perspective. Being a fan means fanatic. Being a fanatic means you don't have perspective. I don't disagree. I disagree completely that being a fan means you have to be totally delusional.
Right.
You have to be absolutely not, don't have perspective. I am a diehard fan. I am a rabid fan with complete perspective.
Right, and that's smart. To me, that's smart. And also,
But it's a little boring to some people.
But wouldn't you rather
practicality
be a
of it.
fanatic longer?
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
guess.
would rather be a fanatic through the NLCS and not just until September.
Yes.
So it is good. So let's talk about this today. It's 610-632-0975. Do we really have it all that bad in Philadelphia sports? When it comes to championships, hell yeah, we have it that bad because there haven't been many. But the fact that our teams are relevant, I'd rather be relevant than not. John and I are actually agreeing on something today.
No, we are.
Has the world stopped spinning?
We're in different degrees on this one, but we absolutely are in the same boat. We're in the same boat.
I must have missed you. You missed one day, and now all of a sudden I want to agree with you. All right, coming up next, hand up, an apology from Andrew Salciunas.
I love it.
I have to stop doing something, but at the same time, I'm going to turn this on to the NBA. Not my fault, okay? That's what I'm going to do. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Monday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports
I do
Update.
not think the Eagles will first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually leaves.
I would also say that the Eagles should take a cornerback just to show that they need some more depth throughout the rest of the season, as the cornerback positions that we've seen throughout this year did not do that. So I'm going to go with cornerback.
The Eagles should draft, and the draft's coming up at the end of the month, a linebacker. They always draft a linebacker. You know they're going to draft a linebacker. They're going to draft a good linebacker because it's linebacker university with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I want you to be honest with us. Would you rather be right, even though it might be a negative opinion about your teams, or would you rather be wrong, which means your team benefits from it? I know the Sixers are a prime example. Ben Simmons was a prime example. It's also like the Doc Rivers thing with the best show ever always says he never won a game in this town. Tyrese Maxey drops 52 points last night. Dude, in 54 minutes.
Imagine that you
54
might.
minutes.
That was unbelievable. And more importantly, it's you don't expect when Joel Embiid's out, that Tyrese Maxey can just carry the franchise to huge success. But what he's shown you, like 3 different nights,
Yes.
he can put up 50.
Yeah.
He can put up, and he's one of those guys that can do that. That can, on a given night, he can do it. And more importantly, on the other nights, he's not crappy.
Right.
He's just a little more human.
Yeah.
Last night, they needed
Last
an
night was
inhuman
electric.
effort. It would have secured them. If they had lost last night, it would have secured them that they were in the play-in game.
Right. And now you still have a chance.
Now they
to
still
get to
have
the
a
6th
chance.
seed. I know it's still tough to get there, and we'll
Math
get to
is
that
bad,
later
yes.
on. But look, that was a great win for the Sixers.
Him. Tonight, nationally, it is the women's Final Four, and I'll tell you, it's got more attention than I think any time I've been alive. But North Carolina.
So we have another question, right, about the Phillies. I'm sorry. This is what happens. You get a couple people in the room that love talking hoops and changes. What's up, Joe?
Have you guys seen the new city editions? And do you like that they're wearing them every Sunday for all the Sunday games?
They'll be unveiled at 10.
There was the
They're out.
Yeah, no, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's the stuff that you see.
You don't think it's the
I do not.
lightning one?
No, I
I do.
think
I've heard that the hat is pretty fire.
I will tell you that the jerseys that have been leaked out are the jerseys that you wear.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I think.
I didn't know if you were going to
I
tell
think they look like a softball home run hitting.
Oh, that's no. I think that
I don't like them.
I
You
don't
guys
like them
don't?
at all.
But I'm a very boring traditional.
I want
Is it the
tradition.
color scheme?
I want I
This
don't
is
need. I don't
too
need.
hard.
It's trying too hard.
So it's the color scheme and it's the lettering and it's the.
I just. The Phillies have such. What do the Phillies have? 4 in the rotation now.
Yes.
I'm still going to buy one.
I'm not.
I
like my baby blue, man. The powder blue, that's all I need.
Like he's a powder blue guy.
Yeah, but the light, it's too
Hey,
much
it's
for me.
blue.
It's way too
It's
much
the
for
lightning
me.
with the yellow.
Yeah.
All right.
Just doesn't. No.
Too much going on.
No, too much.
I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually leaves.
I would also say that the Eagles should take a cornerback just to show that they need some more depth throughout the rest of the season, as the cornerback positions that we've seen throughout this year did not do that. So I'm going to go with cornerback.
The Eagles should draft, and the draft's coming up at the end of the month, a linebacker. They always draft a linebacker. You know they're going to draft a linebacker. They're going to draft a good linebacker because it's linebacker university with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I want you to be honest with us. Would you rather be right, even though it might be a negative opinion about your teams, or would you rather be wrong, which means your team benefits from it? I know the Sixers are a prime example. Ben Simmons was a prime example. It's also like the Doc Rivers thing with the best show ever always says he never won a game in this town. Tyrese Maxey drops 52 points last night. Dude, in 54 minutes.
Imagine that you
54
might.
minutes.
That was unbelievable. And more importantly, it's you don't expect when Joel Embiid's out that Tyrese Maxey can just carry the franchise to huge success. But what he's shown you, like 3 different nights,
yes,
he can put up 50.
Yeah.
He can put up, and he's one of those guys that can do that. That can, on a given night, he can do it. And more importantly, on the other nights, he's not crappy.
Right.
He's just a little more human.
Yeah.
Last night, they needed an inhuman effort. It would have secured them. If they had lost last night, it would have secured them that they were in the play-in game.
Right. And now you still have a chance.
Now they
to
still
get
have a
the 6th
chance.
seed. I know it's still tough to get there, and we'll get to that later on. But look, that was a great win for the Sixers.
Him tonight nationally, it is the women's Final Four, and I'll tell you, it's got more attention than I think any time I've been alive. But North Carolina.
So we have another question, right, about the Phillies. I'm sorry. This is what happens.
Sorry, yes, sir, we
you
got
get a couple people in the
distracted,
room
Joe.
that love
I'm sorry,
talking
Joe.
hoops and changes. What's up, Joe?
Have you guys seen the new city editions? And do you like that they're wearing them every Sunday for all the Sunday games?
They'll be unveiled at 10.
There was a.
They're out.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's the stuff that you see.
You don't think it's the
I do
the
not.
lightning one?
No, I
do.
think
I've heard that the hat is pretty fire.
I will tell you that the jerseys that have been leaked out are the jerseys that you wear.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I think.
I didn't know if you were going to tell
think they look like a softball.
Good morning, Kincade and Salciunas, Giant of the K, back in action today.
Yeah, I would like to thank the folks at Bryn Mawr Hospital and Dr. Schoon Young and all the great doctors and nurses over at Bryn Mawr. Had a little flare-up, a little issue little side effect of my chemotherapy.
Okay.
But I am doing great, and I'm back to work, and I'm glad to be here with you guys.
I was telling people that you just left to go like to the Masters or something.
I would have loved that, and believe me, at some point,
You would have taken it?
At some point, Club Magnolia will be calling me again, and I will be down there
Good.
doing that. And we have a radio station down there, by the way. So.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you have some
in the
connections.
Beasley family.
Yeah. So
in
it's
the
good.
Beasley family.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
we can just scroll over there.
But it's good to have you back. All right,
to be
so reacting to the weekend, crazy weekend in Philadelphia sports. But our main question today for you to react to on the phone lines or the text line, 610-632-0975, do we really have it all that bad? John's right when he said, I can't believe I just said John's right.
Could you just run that on a loop today?
John is right when he says there are people every once in a while that drop the I'm tired of losing.
Oh, my God.
And look, I'm tired of losing, too.
Yes, and it hurts like hell.
But that doesn't mean I don't want my teams to be relevant or my teams to still be contenders.
I'd lose the Super Bowl every year.
If it means you're in the Super Bowl every single year. Yeah.
I would absolutely, and someone's going to say that's a loser mentality. I would rather be the loser of the Super Bowl than be the loser of a wild card game.
But you would,
be or not
but
be.
I will say this. Talk to Bills fans about that.
I got you.
Like they, in the moment, I may be looking back at it now until then they go, at least we're there. But in the moment, could you imagine if we lost 4 straight Super Bowls here, how we would be? Andy Reid was run out of town after going to 4 straight NFC Championship games.
I can tell you that now that at the time that was happening to the Bills, I couldn't imagine their life.
Right.
Because we weren't Super Bowl contenders many years. Oh, but we never won like Buddy Ryan, the era that still people will cheer about. We didn't win playoff games.
Nothing.
Now,
We won nothing.
Andy Reid created a turn of the page for this franchise that has just gone on for around a quarter of a century now.
Right.
And it's wonderful. Every year, like you're saying, there's doubts about this season coming up.
Of course there
There's
are.
doubts. Did they fix the locker room stuff? Are the youngsters going to step up?
Is Sirianni a good head
Right.
coach?
But I will tell you that in December, we are not going to be saying, man, this team's terrible, has no shot to win anything.
No.
The Eagles tend to always step in dog poop, scrape it off, and the next year they're strolling down the lane again.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
And
it's
look,
just
I
it's the
would
way it
prefer
works.
them to not step in dog poop.
I would too.
I would prefer clean shoes.
Pick up after your dogs.
Yeah, I would appreciate
Yes.
that. But again, to your point, they step in it and then they get right back.
Right.
I mean, it's now 3 years ago. I thought they were gonna have to rebuild.
They were 4-11-1. 4-11-1.
And then they go to the playoffs the next year, but it was
Now you see the weird thing is I loved them getting to that playoff so much.
no, I love that they got there. I just thought it was fake.
I know, and I remember hearing those conversations and everything, but to me, I didn't care because I really did believe. I believed that team was heading on the right track.
And it showed that the culture was strong.
Right.
The fact that after a 4-11-1 collapse, and then all the talk of is Jalen Hurts the guy, the fact that they made it to the playoffs, that showed that culture was intact and the Eagles culture.
And then they went and got A.J. Brown on draft night.
And then they go to the Super Bowl.
But I will tell you, that was one of the most unexpected rides of my life because I did not expect going into the 22 season. I expected a division title, or I predicted a division title. I did not think they were going to the Super Bowl.
And even though last year happened, we're going to probably end up talking about it again this year.
No
that
question.
They might go back. It's amazing.
I could be swung that way.
Yeah.
But depending on what we see in the draft coming up and everything.
Dude, I don't know if the draft's going to do it for you.
Oh, it will for me. Yeah,
All right,
it will.
I don't even know if the draft will do it for you. And we're going to have a lot of draft talk as we get closer. Thursday is 1 week away from the NFL draft. So they might draft a rotational guy as a rookie and hopefully becomes a starter down the road. I don't think there's an impact player that steps on the field right now that makes the Eagles Super Bowl contenders. I think the roster you have in front of you is the team that we're going to be talking about.
Here's where I would disagree. I think you could get an impact linebacker in the second round. I think you could get an impact corner in the first round. I think you could get an impact tight end in the second round.
Okay.
So, to me, I think you're going to find players that if they do their job, we're going to find players in that draft coming up, and we'll be all over it here on the Fanatic that are going to help this team this year.
So do we really have it all that bad? You can climb in on the text line or the phone line, 610-632-0975. Now, an apology from me.
It's okay. You're going to be
from me.
wrong a lot. We both.
Yes.
No need to apologize.
Last week, we were talking about the weekend ahead for the Sixers. And I was unaware that the NBA had a ridiculous tiebreaker rule for a three-way tie.
Oh, I got to apologize for this, too. This isn't just you. This is me, too. I didn't know this either.
Oh, okay. So
no, I'm right with you.
I was, on the air, and there's a man specifically on YouTube, Hubert, who I battled with.
You
Hubert.
were mean to Hubert.
I was mean to Hubert. So
You were
Hubert,
mean?
if you're watching right now, I apologize. I'm a man. I'm not afraid to apologize. So I did not realize that in a league, and this is how I'm going to turn it away from it being my
Spin
issue.
zone time.
Oh, yeah, I'm on the extra wash cycle
Wait a
right
minute, there
now.
isn't a but in this. Is there in this apology?
No, I'm
Okay.
going to rip the NBA in a league where it's Eastern Conference, Western Conference. That's all they care about, right?
That is correct.
All of a sudden, on the final day of the season, when there's a tiebreaker scenario for a three-way tie, values the division. And you said something before the show that I completely agree with you. I bet you we could ask 100 of our listeners to name the division, period. Name the divisions. People won't be able to.
No. And then I could say to people, what division do the Nets play in? What division do the Wizards play in? The Hornets? Come on.
Right.
No, I mean, come on.
It's funny. You type in NBA standings, you know what pops up?
Conference.
East and West,
Eastern
baby.
Conference, Western Conference. The Atlantic Division does not pop up. I have to specifically Google NBA division standings. However, a three-way tie between the Sixers, Pacers, and Magic, even though the Sixers have the head-to-head over Orlando, the Magic are still 2 seeds higher than the Sixers as the 5th seed because they won their division. So that's why they're the 5th seed. The Pacers are the 6th seed, who would be higher because they won the season series against the Sixers, and the Sixers are the 7th seed. So because of this stupid tiebreaker scenario, it's dumb.
It's
a
dumb.
league that does not value divisions. You can win your division like the Magic. You don't get anything. You don't get a bonus. You're the 5th seed. Right, it's not like the NFL where
they give you one of the top 4 seeds.
you could go 7-9 or 7-10 nowadays and win the division, and you got a home field, in
You have
the
a top
first round of the
4 seed.
playoffs.
You're
Right,
guaranteed
Whereas
one of the
the
top
Orlando
4.
Magic win their division, they're the 5th seed, so it doesn't do anything for the conference except for a tiebreaker scenario. So the Sixers still get screwed out of this, and they're not. It's not just that they're 6th; they're 7th. They're in the play-in tournament because of it. I apologize. I was incorrect with my evaluation process.
No, I was incorrect also. So, this apology goes everywhere. So
Dude, they're
I'm
the 7th
too.
seed because of a tiebreaker in a league that doesn't care about their divisions.
Well, you also have the NBA is just, and I wrote a piece for 97.5 The Fanatic that'll go up this week. The NBA needs so much. Like, there's never been a sport, a professional sport, that devalues its regular season and disrespects its fan base more than the NBA over 82 games. They sit out their stars for no reason at all. They don't. And then what do? They let 2 teams that are pathetic have a chance to play into the playoffs.
Right.
Of all the leagues that doesn't need a play-in tournament, it's the NBA, because the NBA disrespects its regular season, disrespects its fan bases, and says, "Oh, you bought tickets to the biggest game of the year? The Lakers are coming in to play the Knicks. Oh, well
LeBron's not
LeBron has the
playing."
night
Yeah.
off tonight. Load management.
And
it's a bunch
and
of
here's
crap.
the thing: the other, you added 2 extra teams to the playoffs, so now it's a 10.
Well, now they're
technically-
not in the playoffs, though. I will give them. I will give them credit. It does. You are not counted as a playoff team if you do not win the play-in games. You will not be on the official record of the NBA being in the playoffs.
Fine. You give 2 teams an extra chance to
Why?
get in the playoffs. Whereas I can make the case in the NBA, Eastern Conference. Now, look, the Sixers are a different situation, being the 7th seed. What? Maybe 5 teams have a chance of making a run, and that's just because Miami's the 8th seed, and they're weird, right, like that. So it's Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, Sixers, Heat. The Pacers aren't going to win anything. The Magic aren't going to win anything. The Bulls sure as hell aren't going to win anything. Your Atlanta Hawks aren't going to win anything.
They're terrible.
They're the 10th seed,
And they're terrible.
and they have a chance to make the playoffs still.
No, to me, it's right now. If you're being honest, I believe going on a run to win the East.
Yeah,
it's Celtics, and then the list just drops way down.
Right,
and then at that point, it's Sixers, Knicks, maybe Bucks.
Yeah,
and the Sixers and the Knicks will have to play in the first round.
If they play in the first round because of this stupid play-in tournament, the Sixers, I'm not going to say they're going to lose Wednesday. Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra, of course they're playing the Miami Heat. Like, if they're playing the Bulls or if they're playing the Hawks, all right, it's bring on the Knicks. But the fact that they're playing the Heat, there's a legitimate shot that they could lose that game and fall to the 8th seed. And just because they won 8 straight games, the NBA still finds a way to screw over teams. They could play the Celtics in the first round of the playoffs, and it could be a quick playoff.
I got you. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just say, wow, like the NBA just doesn't. They don't have a plan. Their plans are stupid. Let's put it that way. They have a stupid way of doing
and
things.
their division tiebreaker scenario makes it stupid. So my bad, but it's not my fault, Connor.
Well, it's not all your fault.
No. It's just not my fault, period.
Okay.
Adam
We're going
Silver.
period?
Adam Silver should realize that the team that wins their division, that's the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, by the way, should not be the reason why they're 2 seeds higher than a team that won the head-to-head record this year.
Listen, you make a very strong argument.
It's the only argument.
And I agree with what John's saying with the way the NBA devalues the regular season. I just feel bad for my man Hubert, and I'm glad you gave him his apology.
I gave my apology. Like, I will bet $1 billion.
You have $1 billion?
$1 billion. Connor, before we get
Wait a minute. What are you, Otani's interpreter?
Clipping this. Who's this?
Like,
owed to, me?
seriously.
All right.
You don't have $1 billion to bet.
Tell me all the division winners in the NBA this year.
Oh, no
I'll
clue.
give you $1 billion. You get it. You might as well take a guess. It's a
Wait a
billion.
minute. Let me check.
So the Celtics, the Magic, the Thunder, the Nuggets. Am I good so far?
I would have bet Nuggets.
No, the Thunder.
I said the Thunder, the
They're
Nuggets,
in the same division.
They're in the same
so
division.
boom, that you lose your $1 billion.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known that they're in the same division.
They're,
Well,
they're in the
West. West
Northwest
doesn't count.
division, man. It's ridiculous. So I got to rip the NBA for that, but I understand it's also my fault for thinking that, the team with the head-to-head record would be higher up in the standings.
Conference matters. Divisions really don't.
Right.
They just don't. Divisions don't.
But it's ridiculous that in a 3-way tie, the first tiebreaker
Is wild.
is who won their division. It's crazy. All right.
But they do. But that's what the NBA does.
But, hey, at least the Sixers are still playing meaningful basketball. We celebrate that. So our question today that we want to hear from you on the text line and the phone line, 610-632-0975. Do we really have it all that bad? Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start comparing the the Philadelphia sports landscape to other major cities across America. John's been doing some research. I appreciate that. So we'll do that. We'll throw different cities throughout the entire show.
Correct.
Which one do you want to do first?
Oh, I know where we're going.
Where's that?
Motor City.
All right. So we'll do that first. Coming your way next. Is it really all that bad in Philadelphia? Do we as fans really have it all that bad? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The countdown to the NFL Draft is underway.
I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually leaves.
I would also say that the Eagles should take a cornerback just to show that they need some more depth throughout the rest of the season, as the cornerback positions that we've seen throughout this year did not do that. So I'm going to go with cornerback.
The Eagles should draft, and the draft's coming up at the end of the month, a linebacker. They always draft a linebacker. You know they're going to draft a linebacker. They're going to draft a good linebacker because it's linebacker university with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I want you to be honest with us. Would you rather be right, even though it might be a negative opinion about your teams, or would you rather be wrong, which means your team benefits from it? I know the Sixers are a prime example. Ben Simmons was a prime example. It's also like the Doc Rivers thing with the best show ever always says he never won a game in this town. Tyrese Maxey drops 52 points last night. Dude, in 54 minutes.
Imagine
54 minutes.
That was unbelievable. And more importantly, it's you don't expect when Joel Embiid's out that Tyrese Maxey can just carry the franchise to huge success. but what he's shown you, like 3 different nights,
Yes.
he can put up 50.
Yeah.
He can put up, and he's one of those guys that can do that. That can, on a given night, he can do it. And more importantly, on the other nights, he's not crappy.
Right.
He's just a little more human.
Yeah.
Last night, they needed
Last
an
night was
inhuman
electric.
effort. It would have secured them. If they had lost last night, it would have secured them that they were in the play-in game.
Right. And now you still have a chance.
Now they
to
still
get to
have
the
a
6th
chance.
seed. And I know it's still tough to get there, and we'll
Math
get to
is
that
bad,
later
yes.
on. But look, that was a great win for the Sixers.
Him tonight nationally, it is the women's Final Four, and I'll tell you, it's got more attention than I think any time I've been alive. But North Carolina.
So we have another question, right, about the Phillies. I'm sorry. This is what happens.
Sorry, yeah, so we
you
got
get a couple people in the
distracted,
room
Joe.
that love
I'm sorry,
talking
Joe.
hoops and changes. What's up, Joe?
Have you guys seen the new city editions? And do you like that they're wearing them every Sunday for all the Sunday games?
They'll be unveiled at 10.
There was the.
They're out.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's the stuff that you've seen.
You don't think it's the
I do not.
lightning one?
No, I
I
think
do.
it's-
I've heard that the hat is pretty fire.
I will tell you that the jerseys that have been leaked out are the jerseys that you wear.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I think.
I didn't know if you were going
I
to tell
think
me.
they look like a softball home run hitting.
No, I think that I like
I
them.
don't like them.
I
You
don't
guys
like them
don't?
at all.
But I'm a very boring traditional.
I
Is
want
it
you
the
to.
color scheme?
I want you. I
This
don't
is
need.
all
I
this
don't
too
need.
much.
It's trying too hard.
So it's the color scheme and it's the lettering and it's the.
I just. The Phillies have such. What do the Phillies have? 4 in the rotation now.
Yes.
I'm still going to buy one.
I'm not.
I
like my baby blue, man. The powder blue. That's all I need.
Like he's a powder blue guy.
Yeah, but the light is too
Today
much
it's
for me.
blue.
It's way too
It's
much.
the
for
lightning
me.
with the yellow.
Yeah.
All right.
Just doesn't. No.
Too much going on.
No, too much. I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And an event 647 on Kincade and Salciunas on this Monday morning. It's a Fanatic Monday presented by Pierce Phelps, Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. A wild weekend in Philadelphia sports that sets up a wild week. To start the 7 o'clock hour, we'll continue to react, but we're going to also look forward because in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to give you the schedule. We're going to break it down.
Sure.
Right? Because Phillies start a new series today. The Flyers have a game tomorrow. The Sixers have the play-in tournament. Depending on what happens in the play-in tournament, when do they play next? So we'll go through it because this is going to be a week where our eyes are going to be in the back of our heads by the time this week's over.
And the Phillies have the easiest week that remains in their regular season this week.
But Connor's going to say it's okay if they go 500.
I didn't say that.
They have the easiest. This is the easiest week that is on the Phillies schedule the rest of the year.
So take care of business, damn it.
Home games
You better.
against 2 terrible teams.
You better. Is it hitting season yet?
They're going to win
seriously.
both those series.
They better, Connor.
They better win both of those series.
All right, we have a text, Connor.
Yeah, we do. We have Anthony in St. Pete who checks in on the question about if we have it bad or good compared to other cities. And he says in leagues where there are 30-plus teams, we're on the doorstep each now, which will now include the Flyers. And if you're watching meaningful games each year at the end of the season, I believe we have it good with a splash of heartache, which is another word for passion. We have it good in
Yeah,
the city.
look, heartache for sure. I mean, like, I wasn't sitting here after the Phillies blew game 6 and 7 going, oh, at least we were here. Like, no, I was miserable. But at least my team, now that I can say, at least they were there. Now, do I still think that they missed out on an opportunity to get back to a World Series and potentially win one? Of course.
I am such a spoiled sport over what happened in the Arizona series, and we brought it up earlier. I know you guys talked about it in the summer. I will not watch last year's Phillies highlight video.
I'm out. Nope.
Because of the – and by the way, I know how great the Phillies do
And I know how
that.
hard they work on it.
Oh, they do. They do a spectacular job on it. I won't watch it.
Nope.
Because it was like I know the ending. The ending of losing a World Series is different than being up coming home for Game 6
Especially a
and
World
7.
Series that you didn't expect to be there.
That was wild.
Last year, once they beat the Braves, you're like, all right, they're going back to the World Series, and they lost.
22 is always going to make me smile.
Yep.
The heartache of 23 will always be there. But there are still moments like beating the Braves, which is just delicious. 2 years in a row, sending the Braves home after they won a World Series. Because they win a World Series in 21, and they're thinking dynasty.
Yeah, and
We're a
the
dynasty.
Phillies sent them home twice. So on the flip side, Philly John 18 at All Delco checks in on Twitter. Is this your burner?
I sort of
account?
like that name.
Philly
though.
John All Delco?
I like it.
He says 2 champions in the last 172 seasons or something like that. Yeah, I consider it pretty bad.
That's ridiculous. I'm just going to say,
but some people look at it just success as a championship.
Then that is absurd as far as it's not how we watch sports. It's not how we watch sports.
But here's the deal. I would much rather be the Philadelphia sports landscape, and we'll get into some of the cities, than, let's say, Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay, their baseball team is always a contender, and then they've won a couple of cups. Tampa Bay
they won a couple Super Bowls.
And Super Bowls. Tampa Bay, in the last 10 years, if we're doing championships, has been more successful in Philadelphia, which that can't happen.
They won 3, right?
Yeah.
2 cups.
And 1 Super Bowl
One
with Brady.
Super Bowl in the last 10
And then
years.
they got to a World Series with the Rays. But if we're only doing championships, then Philly John's right. But if we're doing overall success, then if Philadelphia's in a good spot.
If Philly John's logic holds up, he's trying to convince you he'd rather be a Marlins fan than a Phillies fan.
Yeah, and I don't want
and
that.
it's absurd.
No.
That's absurd.
No, I don't think. No.
Yeah.
He's saying the Phillies and the Marlins are the same team.
No,
because they both haven't
they have
won.
2 titles. Marlins have
but
2
in the
titles
last-
in the
we're talking about the last, like,
no, you go last 30 years.
None more recent than the Phillies, though. I think a better comparison would be: would you rather be a New York Giants fan or an Eagles fan?
Well,
they've got 2 Super Bowls, but they've been miserable.
Yeah, but here's what I'm going to say to that one.
Uh-oh.
No, here's what I will say to that one, is that it's in the inverse, but I will tell you in my lifetime, I've seen them win 4 Super Bowls.
Right.
So to me, if a guy is like me, he's a dad. He's out there, he's a dad in our listening audience.
4
Giants
Super
have had
Bowls for the
4
Giants.
Super Bowls, that's not a good example.
Is Daniel Jones worth 4 Super Bowls?
Yes.
I don't know, man.
No, because I would think my organization can find a way. If I've seen my team win 4 Super Bowls in my lifetime, I absolutely can believe for the rest of my life, because seeing my team win it once absolutely changed me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You
as
have.
an Eagles fan.
You've said it.
Totally changed me.
All right, so let's compare. We're going to do this throughout the show. We're going to compare the Philadelphia sports landscape to other major cities across the country. So you wanted to go Detroit first.
Yeah, let's go to Detroit. Detroit has not won a cup in this century. Okay?
And this is the big, this is the big bad boy Red Wings.
Right, exactly. So we're like 2024. We're talking about this century. So we just keep it to the 2000s.
Right.
So even if you're saying, well, the Red Wings won almost 30 years ago.
Right.
The Tigers?
They won a World Series with Miguel Ordonez, right?
Leland, yeah.
So they won a World Series.
20-some years before the Phillies won.
Yes, before the Phillies won.
Yeah, they were
Bagley
like
Ordonez.
03 or something.
Two-time Super Bowl champion Tadahito Oguchi, because he was on
the
White
Lions.
Sox.
The Lions is the most painful franchise, arguably, in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, and then
Arguably,
before
you've got
that, even though the Tigers have won a World Series, their team sucks.
It was wretched.
And their team sucks right now.
And then, if you're going to go with that, the Pistons are horrendous and have done nothing in this century
Well,
either.
no, they have a championship this
2002.
century.
Was it 3?
2 or 3 with
Okay.
the Billups.
Okay, so then I can go back a generation and say in this generation they have not won.
By the way, I got the
generation
White Sox and Tigers mixed up. The Tigers haven't won since '84. They got
they
got to the World Series
White Sox
in 12.
1 and 4. Was
yes.
it 4?
Yeah, the White Sox. That was the Tadahito Oguchi.
So what's the line on this, real quick? Because
I don't
is
think
it
it should. I don't think it
2000?
should just be championships.
No,
though.
I think but what it matters is that it's the idea is that in the modern era, I consider the modern era to me would be a generation is 21 years by definition.
Okay.
So I think in a generation
Let's
it's
just do
fair.
2000 then.
Just do 2000.
Nice and even.
Make it nice and easy 2000. Detroit, a major city. And I also weigh this poll heavier to football.
Yes,
Because it is
absolutely. It's the king,
it's
right.
America's #1 sport, and it's big cities' #1 sport. So the Motor City Kitties, we have it so much better than Detroit. It's not even close.
Yeah, it's not even close. And their NBA championship was 20 years ago.
Now they're more. I think 20 years ago.
It was 2004 when they beat the
whatever.
Lakers.
There
yeah.
you go. Wow.
But it was.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, it's been. Yeah, Philadelphia has it much better than Detroit. Now somebody's probably sitting there going, "Well, of course they have it better than Detroit."
Oh, there's something. We got a whole list.
Talk about some of the other cities. We will. We have them all show. So coming up next, we will reset what we've been talking about, but we're also going to look ahead. We started the first hour looking back at this past weekend that had a Sixers weekend where they won all their games, but only got to the 7th seed. The Flyers win their game against the Devils. They still have a chance to make the playoffs. Phillies split. Now we're going to look ahead because there's a new series for the Phillies. The Flyers could make it to the playoffs via tomorrow night. Sixers have to play in tournament a lot more. It's all coming your way next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually leaves.
I would also say that the Eagles should take a cornerback just to show that they need some more depth throughout the rest of the season, as the cornerback positions that we've seen throughout this year did not do that. So I'm going to go with cornerback.
The Eagles to draft, and the draft's coming up at the end of the month, a linebacker. They always draft a linebacker, and you know they're going to draft a linebacker. They're going to draft a good linebacker because it's linebacker university with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I want you to be honest with us. Would you rather be right, even though it might be a negative opinion about your teams, or would you rather be wrong, which means your team benefits from it? I know the Sixers are a prime example. Ben Simmons was a prime example. It's also like the Doc Rivers thing with the best show ever always says he never won a game in this town. Tyrese Maxey drops 52 points last night. Dude, in 54 minutes.
Imagine
54 minutes.
That was unbelievable. And more importantly, it's you don't expect when Joel Embiid's out, that Tyrese Maxey can just carry the franchise to huge success. But what he's shown you, like 3 different nights,
yes,
he can put up 50.
Yeah.
He can put up, and he's one of those guys that can do that. That can, on a given night, he can do it. And more importantly, on the other nights, he's not crappy.
Right.
He's just a little more human.
Yeah.
Last night, an inhuman
electric.
effort. It would have secured them. If they had lost last night, it would have secured them that they were in the play-in game.
Right. And now you still have a chance.
Now they
to
still
get
have a
the 6th
chance.
seed. I know it's still tough to get there, and we'll get to that later on. But look, that was a great win for the Sixers.
Him tonight nationally, it is the women's Final Four, and I'll tell you, it's got more attention than I think any time I've been alive. But North Carolina.
So we have another question, right, about the Phillies. I'm sorry. This is what happens.
We
get a couple people in the room that love talking hoops and changes. What's up, Joe?
Have you guys seen the new city editions? And do you like that they're wearing them every Sunday for all the Sunday games?
They'll be unveiled at 10.
There was a.
They're out.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's the stuff that you've seen.
You don't think it's the?
I do not.
The lightning one?
No, I
do. I've heard that the hat is pretty fire.
I will tell you that the jerseys that have been leaked out are the jerseys that you wear.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I think.
I didn't know if you were going to tell
I think they look like a softball home run hitting.
Oh, no.
I don't like them.
I don't like them at all.
But I'm a very boring traditional.
I want
traditional color scheme.
I want
I don't need. It's trying too hard.
So it's the color scheme and it's the lettering and it's the.
The Phillies have such. What do the Phillies have? 4 in the rotation now.
Yes. I'm still gonna buy one.
I'm not.
My
baby blue, man. The powder blue. That's all I need. Like he's a powder blue guy.
Yeah, but the light is too much for me. It's way too much. It's the lightning with the yellow. Yeah. All right.
Just doesn't. No. Too much going on. No, too much.
I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually.
Here's Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. We started the show reacting to a big weekend that was in Philadelphia sports, and our question that we've been asking, do we really have it all that bad here in Philadelphia when you compare Philadelphia to other major cities across the country? And we'll continue to do that all show long. The first one we did so far was Detroit, and you know it depends on how you define success, right? I think just being relevant, I'd rather be relevant.
What level of I hate to get into the wordsmithing, but when you say relevance,
playoffs every year, but like with a chance to actually, like the Sixers have been relevant, even though they have never gotten out of the second round.
They're absolutely relevant.
They're relevant,
no question.
And or like contenders, or it wouldn't be crazy that they made a run, even though it was a wild run 2 years ago for the Phillies. If you look at the roster, it's not crazy that they made that run. No, it's just because we knew the context of the season.
In fact, they should have made it.
Right.
They should never. They should never have been in a position to have to sneak back into the playoffs
in the final series of the year.
Backing in.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Milwaukee cooperated.
Right, absolutely. But then there's a guy on Twitter, Philly John 18, that says 2 champions in the last 172 seasons or something like that. Yeah, I consider it pretty bad. So it depends on how you look at it. If you're championship or bust every single year, it must be hard. It must be hard to be a Philadelphia sports fan. Now, maybe it's different for us, right? We do this for a living, so we are always in the now, right? We're reacting on a Monday morning. We're reacting to this weekend of the Sixers winning both their games, the Flyers staying alive, and then the Phillies splitting with the Pirates. But we're also about to, in this segment, talk about this week ahead of us, right? Like, we live it day to day to day to day. We don't really take time off from sports unless we go on vacation, and we still find ourselves watching games while we're on vacation.
Think of the fanatics of the fanatic.
Yes.
like think of our family. Think of the karate marks out there. Think of the, Mike from Del Rand's and everything like that. I believe they live the sports calendar the way we do.
I agree.
So, I mean.
But not everybody does.
Not everybody does. But I believe the level of casual fan in this city, the percentage, is far less than many of the other major cities we may discuss today. I really do. I think that if you're not talking about New York, Boston, Chicago. I'm going to just go maybe New York, Boston, Chicago.
Yeah, like, would you even go?
Like, I'm not going anywhere else because
would you go Dallas? Like, I don't know. I don't know if they love the Mavericks down there.
No, they do. But I'm not saying
but it's not even close to the Cowboys.
It's not close to the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, their stadium's overrun with foreign fans, from Philly, from Chicago, from wherever, whenever their teams come in.
Right.
Their stadium gets run over when the Cowboys are good.
Right.
The Link doesn't.
No, the Link doesn't. You're right.
I mean, so I think there are a lot more transient cities, though, and I think that
our question is, do we really have it all that bad here in Philadelphia sports? But then I guess it depends on how you define success. It could be as drastic as, we only have 2 championships in the last 172 combined seasons. Even though is that accurate? 172, that would suck. That's not a good winning percentage.
I like that would suck.
Well,
listen to Andrew.
It sounds about right. It's been 50 years for the Flyers and 40 for the Sixers.
Well,
so that's probably accurate.
83 then.
I mean, it's honest. It's honest that we're going on year 41 for the Sixers.
Yeah.
We will hit year 49 for there
That's amazing.
That's pathetic.
That is pathetic.
That's pathetic.
But at least we're looking up with these teams.
There have been. If you look at the Flyers, since those 49 years. The Flyers have been on the doorstep.
Yeah, they've been relevant
over and over. Yeah, but they've been in the finals.
Yeah,
many times.
Right, absolutely,
and just didn't kick the door in.
So this past weekend, just one more quick run through of what happened, and then we'll start looking ahead to this week because, we can't really harp on this past weekend. We talk about how this is today's talk show. Like that's the genesis of this show.
That's what we desire it to be.
Right. There's no better time than right now because there's so much ahead this weekend. But Philly split their series with the Pirates. Connor says it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry about the base running blunders or
I didn't say that.
Bad approach.
You can worry about individual issues with the team, but the overall picture needs to stay in frame.
Okay. And the overall picture is
what?
Still get back to NLCS. I get it.
They're wasting opportunities to take advantage of.
That's not the overall picture. The overall picture is this is still an incredibly talented baseball team who has not fallen out of anything yet because it's still mid-April.
Well, I don't think anybody's talking about them falling out. I think it's the idea is wasted opportunity.
Right, and that's what this is right now. They are wasting opportunity. They should not be. They should not be 500 right now.
They're sitting here 8-8. They're bumbling around when they could be taking advantage of it.
And I know people keep on saying, "Well, this is how it's been." And I agree with you, and I'm not overreacting to 16 games.
No, we're not.
But my thing is, Connor, I've said it about the playoffs. I should say it about the regular season, too. I shouldn't just have to rely on it's going to be fine.
No, you're right.
The Braves will choke. The Dodgers will choke.
That's not going to happen every year.
What you guys are saying is you want them to be better, and I do too. But what I'm reminding you is we don't necessarily need them to be better.
You're not wrong. But how about I want them to be better because I don't want to have to continue to rely on things. I said I want them to win the division because I would like the home game in Game 1 of the NLDS. And I understand that the bye round has been scary for the Dodgers and for the Braves. But as you've pointed out, John, the Astros won the World Series.
Astros seem to be fine with it.
They were able to set up their rotation, their older rotation that they were able to set up for the way they wanted it to be.
And to me, you know who needs them to be better? John Middleton. For his investment.
Yeah, I'm sure he would like that.
Enough of this stuff. When you give a roster everything that they ask for, General Manager Bryce Harper gets every single toy that he begs for. And then you just we'll get going. It'll be I find the hitting season thing so insulting.
I know.
It's so insulting to the just anyone with a functioning brain. That we have to hear about. Well, hitting season will come around.
But it's only here, man.
It's ridiculous.
I'm this fan base's get back coach. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying you shouldn't get worked up. I'm not saying you shouldn't coach. I'm going to let you guys do your thing. But every once in a while, you're almost in the referee's way, and I'm just going to tug on the back of the shirt.
I would tell you, I have little concern about the Phillies being a postseason team.
Yeah,
little.
Yeah, it's not even a question.
And I can say that I didn't say that in 22. And there were times last year in the beginning of the year that I didn't say that.
Okay.
So at least at that point, and it's all because of that freaking starting pitching, which has really
which has been wasted.
And
Wheeler's has been wasted, man.
And Wheeler gave up the big bomb yesterday.
I know he did, but he also had 10 Ks and he had no run support. I mean, that would be fun. Wouldn't it be nice if the Phillies could score some runs for Zach Wheeler for crying out loud? Jesus.
Absolutely terrible.
All right, so the Phillies split with the Pirates. I'm disappointed by it. Connor says, don't worry. Okay, that's nice. Sixers take care of business, but it doesn't change anything. They stay as the 7th seed. So that means they're in the play-in game. And they could play the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs if they take care of business Wednesday night, or they could play the Celtics.
But it did change.
Well, it changed your mentality.
I think it changed the mentality of – I honestly believe it's changed the mentality, Andrew, of thousands of Sixers fans.
Which is good.
Is Joel Embiid coming back, the 8-game winning streak. It shows you that if you give Nick Nurse a full deck, Nick Nurse's teams, I don't know. Doc Rivers'
I
teams
just wish
to me-
Nick Nurse had a full week to prepare for whoever they were playing in the first round of the playoffs.
I'm not ultra concerned about that because I believe Nick Nurse already knows now that the Knicks, and having done this for a pro team, this job, his video staff and everything, they're spending a ton of time right now on the Knicks.
But here's the thing that concerns me.
Okay.
You keep on saying the Knicks. They have to beat the Heat first.
No, I understand, but the thing is that the Heat work is already done.
Right.
They knew for like a week that the Heat.
Well, is there an intern work on the Celtics?
I guarantee you, it's not the. Hey, there's all stuff for right now.
They're working on the Nuggets for the finals.
No, are they?
That's what I'm
That'd be
worried
fun.
about.
I just know this. My pulse. If the doctor took my vitals, as a Sixers fan, 2 weeks ago to today, 3 weeks ago to today,
Much better.
I am healed. I am absolutely healed by what I saw down the stretch. And again, it reinforced my belief in Nick Nurse. It reinforced that with a full deck, this team could do. Maybe this is the year that they just surprise us and go on a run.
We've been saying this. It's the year when nobody's talking about them.
Exactly.
Or it's the year when the national media is talking about them, but we weren't really talking about them all that much locally. So we'll find out. And then the Flyers, they took care of business against the Devils, which keeps their playoff chances alive. So that's what we're going to do now. Close the book on the previous week.
Yes.
This past weekend, and we look ahead. So the Phillies start their series tonight against the Rockies, 6:40 start.
Rockies are terrible.
Just win the freaking series.
No.
Can I say that now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I wasn't allowed to say beat the Pirates.
Well, you were wrong.
You were saying split.
I wanted them to take. I wanted them to take 3 or 4.
No, the quote was, and I wrote it down from Connor Thomas last Thursday. They should be able to split with the Pirates.
Yeah, should be able to
and
split
I wrote
with
it
the
down,
Pirates.
and my head exploded. My head exploded. That this team with the third highest payroll in baseball.
Is it less exploded since they did it?
We should be able to split with the Pirates. Hell, well, thank you for that.
No, they
Connor.
should win, period.
Yes.
They should win,
162-0.
period.
I'm going to evaluate what I think is going to happen.
I will tell you right now is that this Colorado team is pathetic.
Yes.
And this White Sox team is worse. It is the easiest week that remains on the schedule. You better. This should be a 5-1 week.
I agree with you, dude. Like, it's okay to start putting standards to the Phillies, Connor.
Yeah. And
it's only to hold them to some sort of standard of expectation.
They haven't lost the series since when?
The Phillies?
The last 3 series,
Atlanta
they
Braves.
won 2 and split.
Okay.
All right.
That's
That's
great.
it.
Yeah, but when the easy part of your schedule is around, you are supposed to take advantage of the easy part of your schedule.
Do they look like they're a team that's playing good baseball right now?
No, they do not.
All right, then why? Oh, well, yeah, at least they split and they won those 2 other series. Like, they don't look like a team that's playing good baseball
And
right
I
now.
will
And they're
applaud.
500.
I will applaud John Kruk and Tom McCarthy because they are broadcasters for a franchise.
Yes.
With integrity oozing out of them because they're not shaking the pom-poms. The other day, here's Tom's like, yeah, not very good. I don't know what was going on. Christopher Sanchez, bad night. Fielding routine plays that he's botching.
Yeah.
Fielding the ball. And John Kruk with the base running, and he finally does the dun, 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 dun. I don't know if you caught it on the game.
No, I did.
He literally was dun, dun,
The base
dun,
running's
dun, 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 dun.
horrible.
This team runs the bases like little leaguers, and they never learn, and it never improves. And for some reason, it'll be okay. They're fine. It's not fine. It's not fine that one of the finest rosters that's been built in baseball doesn't listen or doesn't learn, or more importantly, and I'm going to put this as how about this? Most importantly, is not held accountable. This crap has been going on since 22, 23, now into 24. Nothing changes. It's time for Rob Thompson to hold somebody responsible, to say, we're not doing this anymore, guys. This is ridiculous. Little leaguers should not be watching us run the bases,
you're right.
field the baseball. No team. They're giving away. Hey, you want extra outs? Well, you're up at the plate. We're the Phillies. We got them for you.
Right.
And we'll throw in a Fanatic hat, too, as a giveaway. And then, oh, by the way, we're going to give you outs. We're going to give you outs. We're going to run into stupid outs. We're going to run the bases dumb.
And Connor, I'm already going to steal your response. Connor's going to say, yeah, but look at what happened the last 2 years.
No, that's not it at all. I
Okay.
agree with what John's saying here. These are the individual problems. You can evaluate the individual problems, but I always try and see a team for what they're going to be, not what they are.
Is it an individual problem or is it a group problem?
Well, I'm just saying like individual problems that are not like, oh, this team stinks, because there's part of the fan base that sees them at 8-8 through 16 games of 162 and says this team stinks again.
Now, I will bless myself, and just before I say it, no, I won't because I'm not sacrilegious, but before I dare to criticize JT Real Muto, but that was a stupid decision yesterday.
Yes, it was.
And Zach Wheeler's got to be going, what are you doing, dude? There's a 2-strike, 2-out count. You do not sail a ball. First of all, you don't sail the ball to second. Leave it alone. Zach Wheeler's on the mound. Let him get another strike. He's striking him out. And you're trying to gun somebody down at second base, and you sail it into the outfield in a 1-0 game. There's just they're not. Jeffrey Lurie begs for emotional intelligence. That's what he wants. I'm just asking Rob Thompson to hold his team to play with mild baseball intelligence.
Yeah, I mean it's been a wild start, and I get it, Connor. It's played out well the last 2 years, but I don't know. I think it's okay to hold your team to a higher standard, especially this baseball team. So the Phillies start their series with the Rockies tonight, and then the Flyers, by the grace of God, still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs tomorrow night. John, you went through it earlier in the show.
Really simple and really quick.
Go through it real quick.
Really simple, really quick. We'll watch tonight. Boston, the Red Wings, and the Penguins are all in action. Don't care about the Capitals' outcome. Except if the Capitals win or lose, it doesn't affect the Flyers' chances to make the playoffs. Except if the Capitals lose, it gives the Flyers a chance to be able to eliminate them tomorrow night by beating them in regulation or in overtime. We need a Red Wings split. If the Red Wings could lose tonight, it would be delicious because they go to Montreal tomorrow. So if they could lose tonight, that would be amazing. And the Penguins play Nashville. If the Penguins win their last 2 games, the Flyers are done.
Right.
If the Penguins win their last 2, the Flyers are done. If the Red Wings win their last 2, the Flyers are done. So those 2 teams play tonight. If either one of them lose, it opens the door. If they both lose, it is wild tomorrow night.
And then tomorrow is a potential win and get in situation.
Could happen.
And that game will be here on 97.5 The Fanatic. And then Wednesday night, the Sixers host the Miami Heat for the play-in game. That game also will be on The Fanatic. That is Wednesday night. Now, here's just to let you guys know. If they beat the Heat, they play the Knicks.
Saturday is what I'm being told.
It is Saturday. The time is still to be determined.
How about prime time? You got to think, look, one of the prime time spots.
Yeah, so
Is there a 7?
There's an Orlando and Cleveland game Saturday.
That's going Saturday
Same
afternoon.
To be determined.
That'll be the early. I bet you that'll be the early afternoon game.
And then Nuggets versus whoever they face to be determined Saturday.
That'll be. You could see Nuggets depending on Nuggets could be playing the Lakers though.
They could be. So
if
yeah,
it's
it
Nuggets,
depends on who they play.
Nuggets Lakers would probably get the latest spot on
by
Saturday.
the way, Suns T-Wolves is also that Saturday.
I think that would not get more than Philly, New York.
Okay.
I think Philly, New York would get the second most prominent spot. If it's Nuggets, Lakers, defending champs facing LeBron.
Where's LeBron, the Lakers?
That'd be pretty wild.
But if the Sixers lose, they would still have to play Friday. And if they win Friday, that means, thank God, they're in the playoffs. They would play Boston on Sunday.
They would open in Boston on Sunday.
Just do me a favor. Win Wednesday night.
Just win Wednesday.
Just win Wednesday night. Let Tobias Harris go out there, beat Jimmy Butler, right? Because everybody's going to be doing the Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris thing. Just handle your business. Big man, do your thing. Maxey, do your thing. Tobias, I want you walking off the court saying, yeah, they picked me over Jimmy Butler instead of the video of Tobias Harris over me. Just, come on. Take care of business Wednesday night.
Okay,
please. I'm begging you.
Things could change by then, but I just have a really good feeling about this game Wednesday. So we'll get closer to it, and I think it's good that Joel Embiid, who was held out just precautionary.
That's what they're saying, man.
Excuse me, precautionary.
That's what they're saying, man.
They are that they don't have to play till Wednesday.
See, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the big man.
0% worried.
I think they want.
You are, by the way, you're both lying.
No.
You're saying if you say 0% worry,
normally
you are both
I'm
lying.
at normal Embiid worry.
Oh, well, that's different.
Well, no, but
if you're saying,
but
if
he's
you're saying
questionable all the time.
If you're saying, Connor, that you are 0% concerned about Joel Embiid, you are lying.
No, I'm not.
You are lying.
Dude, I had this narrative before the Orlando Magic game on Friday.
He did.
You can ask Andrew.
He
I
did.
called this from a mile away. I'm totally fine with it.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
If my cousin Joseph is listening, he is the foremost, like, sort of local expert within the police community here at the lie detector test.
We'll bring it
Connor,
in.
I'd put $1,000 down.
Dude, he's not missing Wednesday.
Joseph could hook you up to a lie detector, and if he said, Connor, do you have zero concern about the health of Joel Embiid, I'd win.
You would
Guaranteed
not.
I'd win.
He's not missing Wednesday night.
You would not win.
No, I didn't say. No, it's different. I don't say he's
All right,
missing.
he's going to look
Wednesday
good
night.
Wednesday night.
Concerned about his health? You better be concerned about his health. You better be.
Let's go to Andrew in Phoenixville. Andrew, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hope you guys had a good weekend.
Hey, buddy.
So, Joel Embiid obviously was our Achilles heel. We didn't do very well. Our record suffered. Juan Couturier was out for a few games, and our record suffered. I take him as our Achilles heel for the Flyers. If someone were to go down in the Phillies, who would be the Achilles heel to hurt the Phillies with their record?
How long are you? How long are you talking? Are we talking about like missing a couple months?
Well, I mean, Joel missed 2 months.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
look, even though he's hitting 194, I'm still saying Harper.
No, here's what I'm going to say is Harper has missed 2 months each of the last 2 years, and they've made it to the playoffs and still survived. So I can't think it's Harper.
But it's when he's come back, they really kicked it into another gear.
Yeah.
So would you say Harper's the Achilles heel? I mean,
I honestly think it's that for the Phillies that it would be Wheeler.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're doing starting pitching, thanks for the call, Drew, then maybe
No,
it'd
I'm
be
saying he's the
Wheeler.
player. He is the
Okay.
player. If Wheeler was down for 2 months,
The reason why I say Harper is because I don't feel great about who then fills in for him. And then same with Real Muto, because now you're getting stubs every single day.
and Real Muto has
I know he
dodged
drives
the
you
bullet.
crazy, but he's better than
He's better than what?
Garrett Stubbs.
No,
Not even close.
I'm saying, I thought you meant
Yeah.
Garrett Stubbs because I'm trying to figure out who.
No.
I always try to figure out who Garrett Stubbs is better than.
No. All right.
Because seriously, invest in that for
So
1 year.
coming up next, we've been talking a lot about the Sixers, obviously, because they have the playing game on Wednesday. I'm going to say something coming up next that we've kind of talked about it last week, but I'm going to be more harsh about it. You can call me a coward. I don't care. I saw a lot of tweets about this yesterday, and I just got another tweet about it. Yeah, I'm avoiding anybody I want to avoid. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Sixers are play-in bound. I'm Connor Thomas. This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Have great prices on all the products and services for your small business at Staples Stores or remote workers as well.
Morning. Welcome in Kincade and Salciunas. I want to say this right away. I love how confident we can get, how chesty we can get, how we're the best team no matter what we can get. I love that. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a coward, but I think I'm correct for being the coward.
I'm actually here what you're a coward about.
So last night, after the Sixers take care of business and beat the Nets, but the Magic and Pacers both win, I put out a tweet saying, so the Sixers are really going to end the season on an 8-game win streak, just have climbed up from 8 to 7, with a chance of still falling to 8 after the play-in game and have to face Boston in round 1. What a cruel world. And then a bunch of responses.
Okay, give me some of these.
Right away. Well, when would be a better time to face Boston? Embiid's healthy. The team is hot. If we want to get to the finals, we need to go through Boston eventually. I would love to get a chance to do that in round 1. I saw somebody say, bring on Boston, screw them. Let's see here. Where was another? There's just a bunch of people that are, bring on Boston. They're cool if they fall to the 8th seed.
Okay, the first person that responded to you, though, absolutely absurd and doesn't understand sports as far as the playoffs go. You do not have to go through Boston.
You don't have to.
You may have to go through Boston.
Right.
There is a great chance that you won't. Not a great chance.
Yeah.
But there is absolutely a chance that you will not have to go through Boston because somebody else might knock them off.
And I get what he said, the first tweet that I read. I understand what that logic is. It's what Bob Cooney's logic is, right? Like, there is a chance you're going to have to play Boston, so maybe at the beginning when you're going into the playoffs hot, they've clearly taken it down a notch a little bit, Boston. If you watched their game against the Knicks the other day, it looked like they didn't even want to show up for that one. So they have to try to kick it into gear. The Sixers are winners of 8 straight. Now, if they're playing Boston, that means they lost the play-in tournament, which that means they lost a game.
So that would be lost.
But Embiid's healthier than he could be, maybe come Eastern Conference Finals. But here's the deal. I say bogus to all of you for saying, well, if they lose to Boston, what round does it matter? We have been talking about losing in the second round for 23 years now, or not making it out of the second round for 23 years now. If I have to lose to Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, at least it's the Eastern Conference Finals.
The person who says to you what round it doesn't matter, I can identify them without identifying them. Processor.
No, I don't think that's true.
I do. It is a kick the can person going, keep going. No, we can't.
But John, I'm a processor. The processors are probably more invested than a lot of other people.
No, invested's fine. But we'll always find the way to kick the can down the road to, well, it's not over yet.
Well, there's not much more road left to kick a can
That's
down.
why I'm saying. that can has been kicked so many times.
It's a rusty can, dude.
If you're telling me it doesn't matter what round the Sixers exit in, foolish.
But a lot of people are saying that. I don't think that's a process.
No, I think it's foolish, but I don't think those circles in the Venn diagram have a center.
No, I think there's people that just go, well, if they're going to lose to Boston, get it out of the way early. Or maybe
that would suck.
But people say that. I just said there was a fan last year that called in after the 3 consecutive championship losses in 100 days that said, I just want my teams to lose early now just so that I don't have my hopes up.
Okay, here's where that fan's logic falls apart. What do we always hear about 2019 playoffs?
That the Sixers, if they beat the Raptors, they would have won the championship.
And why would they have won the championship? Why do people just guarantee it?
Because they were better than the Milwaukee. They matched up well with the Bucks, and then the Warriors were hurt.
Why were the Warriors hurt? The Warriors got hurt along the way.
Yes. The
Warriors were the best team and then got hurt along the way.
It's one rolled ankle to Jason Tatum that could change everything.
Correct. Anybody who tells you play Boston no. Let somebody else play Boston.
Right.
You play an easier opponent. Easier is relative term. But when we're talking about this year, the Knicks are an incredibly easier opponent to face than the Boston Celtics. The Celtics, literally clowned the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Knicks are a very good basketball team.
They are a good basketball team.
That's not a lock series victory.
It's not at all.
But you could make the case that they can beat the Knicks, whereas the Boston Celtics, that's going to be – I mean, look, they have a 14-game lead over the Knicks. The Celtics won 64-18 this year. That's outrageous.
I don't know. I got to tell you here, I don't remember a season, and I'm sure it's happened, where one team has clowned the entire conference the way Boston did.
I'm going to guess Golden State when they won.
Yeah,
I'm talking about ours.
Okay.
I'm going with ours. I don't remember recent history.
I would imagine the LeBron Cavs teams. Yeah, LeBron Miami. Yeah, the big
Yeah, but
three.
I didn't think they won by what was it, 14 games?
Yeah,
I'm not
14
sure they did.
They may not have. I'm not sure. But yeah, 14-game lead for the for the Celtics this year.
From 1 to 2, that is an immense gap. And what it tells you is everything is on the table.
But that's the thing. Like I get that people are chesty and they're saying, "Bring on Boston. Maybe this is our year." I'm sorry. I'll keep on saying it. I rooted for Blake Bortles and the Jags. I wanted the Eagles to take on the Jags in the Super Bowl because I thought if they play the Jags, lock, they win the Super Bowl. If they take on the Patriots, I don't know if I could say lock. And it came down to a Hail Mary that fell, and they would have gotten the 2-point conversion too, but it came to the final second.
Anybody that was in the building pregame for that NFC title game versus Minnesota, they know that Andrew Salciunas is speaking the 100% truth.
Yes.
Because the stadium in the head house, what is it called? Head House Square or whatever, where they have the giant TVs and everything. The fans cheered wildly
when the Jags
everything went well for the Jags. Everybody wanted to play the Jags. The crowd was notoriously screaming wild.
Right.
And it was great. And I was one of them. I wanted the Jags.
I am pro easy path.
Yes.
I will cut corners. That's how I do life, Connor. I cut corners in life to make my life easier.
I wanted Brady in that specific instance.
Why?
Because of 2004.
Okay, and if they didn't win, now thank God they won, and the story is better. Right? The story of the Eagles beating the Patriots is better than the Eagles beating the Jags. The story is so much better. But if they didn't win, just like the Phillies didn't beat the Yankees in 2009, when there are people that go, oh, well, I wish they beat the Red Sox in 2008. No, I'm glad they played the Rays and were the superior baseball team because I can now say that I saw my favorite team win a World Series.
I totally got you.
They lost the next year to the better team.
And the Phillies, their 2 World Series in my lifetime have come against the Royals, which was a complete letdown.
Right.
Could have been the Yankees. So same logic. They would have been playing the Yankees. And did they win that World Series? Who knows?
No, I wouldn't have been mad at it just in that specific instance because of what Tom Brady represents. That's why I didn't want the Patriots. I wanted Brady. You guys are 100% right about the Celtics. It is stupid.
It is stupid
to want your team to play a tougher opponent. Like it's flat out dumb unless you have some reasonable explanation that this team is our biggest rival, and they got this guy who owns the sport, and you need to prove something by beating them. And I know that sounds like the Celtics, but that only plays when you kind of are on the same playing field as them.
And nobody
you're not.
And that's not a shot at the Sixers. Nobody is on the same playing field as the Celtics right now. But maybe something happens in the playoff series, right, where it does kind of make it an even playing field. So I love you, Philly. I love how chesty you guys are. A lot of you, not all of you, but I love how a lot of people are like, oh, might as well just get it out of the way now. And Bob's like that. But I don't think it's smart.
Would you rather, if you're walking in the pavement, would you rather say, if I walk this way, I'm going to walk through, I'm barefoot. I got to walk through some shards of glass. Or I can walk on this side of the pavement, and it's a much clearer path that I'm not stepping in glass.
But there might be glass down the road. However,
right, that's fine. I'll worry about it when I get there.
But somebody may have cleaned the glass by the time you get there. Right, like that's the thing. Like
this
the
doesn't make you a
Celtics
coward.
could lose to another team, or we keep on talking about there could be a tweaked ankle, or anything could happen. That's literally why like you said, 2019, we thought the Sixers would have won the finals because they were dealing with injuries that year. Golden State was.
Is Andrew a coward? 610-632. No, you're not a coward. You're smart. That is an intelligent way to look at it, Connor. Your point of view. We have a trifecta of agreement here.
Yeah, this is a problem. We can't all agree on something. This is a first and a last, probably.
When you have an easier path in your way, take it, because it is a arduous road to a championship.
Now, let me say this. Let's say the Sixers, again, God forbid, lose on Wednesday to the Miami Heat, and the Sixers are taking on the Celtics. I'm not going to come in here Friday, because it'll be leading up to Game 1 on Sunday. I'm not going to come in here Friday going, oh, man, the Celtics. Like, no, I'll get fired. They have to win the play in
it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see. And if you steal one of the first 2 games, you start dreaming.
Right, which is what we did last year.
But the bottom line is this. If a Sixers fan is picking, like, let's say the Sixers win.
You're allowed to choose.
Then if the Sixers fan, let's say they do lose Wednesday, then they win Friday, and then they go play the Celtics. if a Sixers fan is predicting and saying, I think the Sixers are beating the Celtics, you're only doing it because you're wishing and hoping and you believe in unicorns.
I don't think
you're not doing it because you're not doing it because you actually believe that 4 out of 7 games the Sixers are going to be better than the Celtics.
But I don't think people are saying they're going to beat the Celtics. It's the idea of let's get to them quicker because that may be our better chance. I would rather hope to avoid them altogether.
And wouldn't you rather look? Give me a second-round series against a first-round series against the Knicks, a second-round series against the Cavs,
right?
And then a third-round series. You know what? If they lose to Boston, and I lose the talking point that haunts me the most, the idea of how long's it been since they won? 23 years.
Right.
If I could lose that talking point, it would be an absolute blessing.
Let me ask you guys something real quick, because I think this is what people need to hear who want the Sixers to play the Celtics. If you're a Boston Celtics fan, who is the team in the Eastern Conference that you're most afraid of?
Sixers. What?
Nope. Miami Heat. Miami kills
They did
Boston.
beat them, and they beat them last year in the playoffs.
They could be. If the Sixers are the 7 and the Heat are the 8, Boston is seeing their boogeyman. But instead, you want to play the team you can't beat that's been better than you all year? It's flat out stupid. Let the Heat try and take them out. They might.
And the Celtics have been better than you for
a long time. And
yeah.
I'll say this again. I would if my choice is lose to the Celtics, and those are my 3 choices, there's no win, right? We do our polls, right? Losing round 1, losing round 2, losing round 3. I'm picking round 3
every freaking time. And anybody with logic, because we love playoffs. There's nothing better than waking up in the morning, to me as a sports fan.
In April and in May.
In the middle of a playoff series, like Sixers are up 2-1. Phillies are in the fall. Phillies are up 3-2. And you wake up in the morning and you're brushing your teeth and you go, there's a game tonight. Or how great did that game feel last night? It is the best time to be a sports fan, and you want it to last. Like, I mean, holy Blue Chew, Batman.
Well,
you want it, you want it to last.
Speaking of Blue Chew, want to shout out our YouTube audience for watching the show today.
Thank you, YouTubers.
And they just watched John pretend to brush his teeth.
I didn't brush my teeth.
No.
Not again.
Oh, no.
Not again.
I caught that on the side of my eye.
I love to brush my teeth, too. To brush my teeth!
You guys, enjoy
a great time for a break.
Haley, clip that one if you want.
Oh, Haley. Be good, Haley.
Never a dull moment. Sometimes we forget we're on camera. All right, coming up, we're going to continue to compare Philadelphia to other major sports cities in the country. Do we really have it all that bad? I say no. John says no. We are in full agreement today on the show, which is insane. So we're going to compare Philly to another city coming your way next. It is Kincade and Salciunas right here at 97.5 The Fanatic.
The newsmakers are on with Bob
What's up,
Cooney.
Haley? This team. Oh, wait. You're trying to make sure that the YouTube audience knows that there are clips of the show available. So you can go back and you can find out where Andrew was wrong in an argument.
No. Where I was right, because that's pretty much how every single show is.
I don't find it that way, but it's interesting is that sometimes it allows you to figure out that Andrew's very passionate about subjects.
That's true.
But then when he gets into a more logical argument and debate, I manage to move him over.
Well, that's because you always try to skew the polls.
I sort of do. Yeah, that is. You're taking him behind the scenes.
Thanks for watching.
We appreciate you, YouTube audience. Thanks. I managed to move them over.
Well, that's because you always try to skew the polls your way.
I sort of do. Yeah, that is. You're taking them behind the scenes.
Thanks for watching.
We appreciate you, YouTube audience. Thanks. What's up, Haley? Oh, wait a minute. You're trying to make sure that the YouTube audience knows that there are always great clips of the show available, so you can go back and you can find out where Andrew was wrong in an argument. What?
Where I was right, because that's pretty much how every single show goes.
I don't find it that way, but it's interesting is that sometimes it allows you to figure out that Andrew's very passionate about subjects.
That's true.
But then when he gets into a more logical argument and debate, I manage to move him over.
Well, that's because you always try to skew the polls your way.
I sort of do. Yeah, that is. You're taking them behind the scenes.
Thanks for watching.
We appreciate you, YouTube audience. Thanks. What's up, Haley? Oh, wait a minute. You're trying to make sure that the YouTube audience knows that there are always great clips of the show available, so you can go back and you can find out where Andrew was wrong in an argument. What?
Where I was right, because that's pretty much how every single show goes.
I don't find it that way, but it's interesting is that sometimes it allows you to figure out that Andrew's very passionate about subjects.
That's true.
But then when he gets into a more logical argument and debate, I manage to move him over.
Well, that's because you always try to skew the polls your way.
I sort of do. Yeah, that is. You're taking them behind the scenes.
Thanks for watching.
We appreciate you, YouTube audience. Thanks.
On this Monday morning, good morning. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I'm having a wonderful Monday. So we're talking about.
Does that mean your weekend sucked?
No, I had a good weekend, but I'm also having a wonderful Monday.
Okay, good, because it is it's a spectacular Monday morning.
Yes, it's beautiful outside.
Not as good as Andrew's Saturday, but
I had a lot of fun Saturday. Too much fun Saturday, but we won't
you
talk about
seem
that.
to be having a very good time
Yeah, we
Saturday
won't-
when I was texting.
We won't talk about it. But I'm having a wonderful Monday because we just had an incredible drop-off. Now, we talk about how Philadelphia and how it compares to other major sports cities and how we may not have it all that bad. You know what makes Philadelphia even better?
What's that?
Wawa.
Oh, yes, it does.
So
it does.
We just had an incredible drop-off here. Like a little food drop / trinket / gear. Dude, happy birthday, Wawa, man.
60.
60 years. Wawa is celebrating 60 years. Wawa's history dates back to 1902, by the way, when the founding...
Wait. Then how are they 60?
Well, I think the stores may be 60 years.
Oh, okay.
But their history dates back to 1902 when the founding family took up a dairy farm and delivered milk door to door. And as the times changed, so did the business. That's why. So
I think I know where that farm is.
They opened up their first store in Folsom, PA, April 16th, 1964. So tomorrow will be the 60-year birthday of Wawa.
Does anyone know if that store is still going in Folsom?
That's a great question.
I'd love to know that.
We got to try to find that out.
Because you have one right out. You said you have one right outside your neighborhood.
Right down the street.
I have one right outside my neighborhood. Connor, how close to you? Closest Wawa.
The one off of Aramingo. So 5 minutes, probably.
Exactly. I mean, like everybody.
And I got the Super Wawa, so it's great.
Oh no, the Taj Wawa. Like, does it have two? Does it have two entrances?
Two entrances.
Oh my gosh.
Gas station.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, man.
That's the Taj
good.
Wawa.
To toast the 60th anniversary milestone, Wawa is giving out free any size hot coffee at all 1,000+ locations tomorrow. All right, so go get a free coffee at Wawa tomorrow for the 60th anniversary. On April 16th, you can visit any store and get 60-cent birthday cake donuts, which I just devoured during the commercial break. It was so good. Also, 60-cent assorted Wawa teas, which I lived off of in high school, the Wawa iced teas. You're a big iced tea man.
I love iced tea.
Every store has selected a customer to recognize on Wawa Day as a day brightener to capture the special relationships between our associates and customers and how those connections brighten days. Day brighteners will be presented with a sash, a vintage mug, and a weekly supply of free coffee. Wawa is the only store still in America, I will say, where people hold the door open for other people.
Jamie Lynch, our buddy Jamie, one of the people who he gets credit for the Taj Wawa. And every time I see a two-entrance Wawa from two different sides, I always say, Jamie, yeah, they're all over. Look at that.
Here's a nice T-shirt.
That's
showing
fantastic.
It to our YouTube audience. There's a hat since 1964. Oh, two hats in here.
That's very good.
Should I wear it over my headphones?
Okay.
This is a very weird look, I'm sure, right now.
But you know what,
I'm celebrating Wawa's 60th
That's
birthday.
great.
Man. And I just had the birthday cake donut. It was delicious. So thank you to Wawa for dropping some stuff off. Thanks to our man Bill Burns for setting that up as well. We appreciate it. So yeah, Wawa makes Philadelphia better as well. So the question is, what's the next city? We're comparing Philadelphia sports to other major cities across the country because a lot of people make it out to this case that we have it bad here, which we don't. Because our teams win. So we did Detroit first, and it wasn't even close. What's next?
I can give you two that we can knock out just a couple.
Yes, please.
Let's go. We're thinking about them today. Miami.
Okay.
The Dolphins. 1973.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So they are worse than the Flyers. We're talking about the Flyers drought.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Flyers have been in the championship numerous times.
Right.
With a chance to win, where Miami has not. The Heat has had titles in their life.
Look,
but it was a blip on the radar.
Since 2000, Heat basketball far better than Sixers basketball.
No question.
Not even close.
No question it has been. Marlins are not better. Nobody cares about the team, which tells you right there they don't have it better.
They
do have a World Series in the time frame we're looking
but
at.
They don't have it better.
And they win a World Series, then they're irrelevant the next year.
I understand. I'm just laying out the credentials.
So they are absolutely out of the mix. So when the Dolphins don't matter, and that matters a lot, when the Dolphins are irrelevant.
Which they've been irrelevant. They're becoming relevant.
But they have been irrelevant for the greater period of time since they've last won a title.
Yes.
They have not been sniffing anything.
Here's my argument for Miami. I think there's something to be said about having a dynastic run. We have not had that.
No, we've never had a dynasty.
And
no.
having
Miami did
prime
the basketball,
LeBron James alongside two other Hall of Famers and running the NBA for a handful of years there is something that should be considered.
And being back at it, they've been back at it 2 times now already?
Two shots
one of
at
them
it.
was the bubble, but...
No, but still, they've had 2 shots at it, which is great. But they're still, first of all, it's not as important. It is not as important to a sports community if your baseball and your football team are pretty much.
I think LeBron's the exception.
I disagree with you. I really do. It's not. The NBA, it doesn't.
But we're now also, what? How long has it been for LeBron? 6 years now? 7 years? When did he?
Yeah.
He's
got to be longer than that because he went back to Cleveland, then he went to LA.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, it's been longer than that. And more importantly, too, then you go. So they're not even in the mix. The hockey team has knocked on the door a couple times.
Right.
But it's not a factor. And then I will just give you this, a easy one. Chicago. Don't tell me. The dynastic run was your dad's.
Right.
No,
not for anybody.
That's Jordan
The
doesn't
Bulls,
count.
irrelevant. Yes, the Blackhawks had a day, but the Blackhawks have literally, again, returned to where they came from. Irrelevance.
Cubs won one, so
Cubs
they have
won
more
9 years. Cubs won 9 years ago. They don't have it better than us.
Well, they have more championships.
And more importantly, again, the Bears, but they don't have
it depends on how
us.
it depends on how you're looking at it. And maybe we're going too far with 2000. Maybe we should do the last 5 years because we're kind of the conversation is, do we have it all that bad right now? And right now, we have 3 teams that could be title contenders. Right? Say what you want about the Sixers not getting out of the second round. We have the Sixers, we have the Phillies, we have the Eagles. Whereas those cities, the Bulls are trying to get into the playoffs via the play-in.
I mean, seriously.
We have it good here.
Really good here.
Really good here. There's really no debate about it. All right, so coming up next, I'll reset the show in case you're just tuning in and wondering why we're comparing Philadelphia to Chicago. We got into a conversation today about, do we really have it all that bad? So we'll reset the entire show coming your way next. Also at 8:05, today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming your way next. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Play-in tourney time for the Sixers. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Sixers have.
I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually leaves.
I would also say that the Eagles should take a cornerback just to show that they need some more depth throughout the rest of the season, as the cornerback position we've seen throughout this year did not do that. So I'm going to go.
The Eagles to draft, and the draft's coming up at the end of the month, a linebacker. They always draft a linebacker. You know they're going to draft a linebacker. They're going to draft a good linebacker because it's linebacker university with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I want you to be honest with us. Would you rather be right, even though it might be a negative opinion about your teams, or would you rather be wrong, which means your team benefits from it? I know the Sixers are a prime example. Ben Simmons was a prime example. It's also like the Doc Rivers thing with the best show ever always says he never won a game in this town. Tyrese Maxey drops 52 points last night. Dude, in 54 minutes.
Imagine
54 minutes.
That was unbelievable. And more importantly, it's you don't expect when Joel out that Tyrese Maxey can just carry the franchise to huge success. But what he's shown you, like 3 different nights,
yes,
he can put up 50.
Yeah.
He can put up, and he is one of those guys that can do that. That can, on a given night, he can do it. And more importantly, on the other nights, he's not crappy.
Right.
He's just a little more human.
Yeah.
Last night, they needed an inhuman effort. It would have secured them. If they had lost last night, it would have secured them that they were in the play-in game.
Right. And now you still have a chance.
Now they
to
still
get
have a chance.
Seed. I know it's still tough to get there, and we'll get to that later on. But look, that was a great win for the Sixers.
Him tonight nationally, it is the women's Final Four, and I'll tell you, it's got more attention than I think any time I've been alive. But North Carolina.
So we have another question, right, about the Phillies. I'm sorry. This is what happens. You get a couple people in the room that love talking hoops and changes. What's up, Joe?
Have you guys seen the new city editions? And do you like that they're wearing them every Sunday for all the Sunday games?
They'll be unveiled at 10.
There was the.
They're out.
Yeah, no, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's the stuff that you've seen.
You don't think it's the?
I do not.
Lightning one?
No, I
do. I've heard that the hat is pretty fire.
I will tell you that the jerseys that have been leaked out are the jerseys that you wear.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I think.
I didn't know if you were going to tell me.
I think they look like a softball home run hitting.
No. I think that
I don't like them.
I don't like them at all.
But I'm a very boring traditional.
I want
the color scheme.
I want
I don't need.
It's trying too hard.
So it's the color scheme and it's the lettering and it's the.
The Phillies have such. What do the Phillies have? 4 in the rotation now.
Yes.
I'm still gonna buy one.
I'm not.
Oh,
I want my baby blue, man. The powder blue, that's all I need.
Like he's a powder blue guy.
Yeah, but the light, it's too much for me. It's way too much.
It's the lightning with the yellow.
Yeah.
All right.
Just doesn't. No.
Too much going on.
No, too much.
I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right
Or at
tackle.
975thefanatic.com. One winner selected at random won $1,000 in this company-wide contest. Winners will get a call from Beasley, so be sure to answer your phone. Complete rules at 975thefanatic.com. 975 The Fanatic signing bonus is presented by Rand Spear, the accident lawyer. Demand Rand for justice. Again, the word FIRST, F-I-R-S-T, to 45911, or the Fanatic app, or 975thefanatic.com. Please never text or drive. Good luck.
This is Kincade and Salciunas, Philadelphia Sports Talk, 97.5 The Fanatic.
It is a Fanatic Monday presented by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options and a new heating and cooling system. Coming up at 8:05, today's headlines with Connor Thomas. I know one story that he's going to get into because I was going to at some point, but he said that's in the headlines.
I think I did, too.
And I love this story, so we'll have some fun with it. Also, later on this segment, Jimmy Kempski, he's always interesting, some of his work.
I think Jimmy Kempski is always a creative angle.
He is. And so he did the Eagles' top 10 options with their first-round pick.
Okay.
So we'll run through them and see whether or not you like it or not, okay? So we'll do that after today's headlines. But here's what we got going on in the show today. We started the show reacting to this past weekend of Philadelphia sports because there was a lot to it. But because of this past weekend, it sets up this crazy week that we had in front of us. So we don't want to spend too much more time on this previous week. And even though if you want to complain about some things about the Phillies, go for it because they should not have split with the Pirates, Connor. The Sixers, if you want to rip the NBA for the Sixers winning 8 straight games and still being in the play-in tournament, and even though they had their head-to-head record with the Orlando Magic, the Magic won their respective divisions. So that's
dumb.
what makes them the 5 seed and the Sixers the 7 seed. That's a dumb rule. Get rid of it.
Do you think the NFL is a dumb rule that the division winners get the top 4 seeds? Because I do.
No, I think it just plays out that way. Like it's not like the NFC South gets together and goes, "Hey, let's make this interesting and all suck this year."
Here's what I'm going to say though is I think maybe 2 years out of 10 have the top 4 seeds in the NFC had the 4 best records.
Wow,
it's always whoever has the top wild card is usually better than 1, if not 2 division.
So you want them to
if you win your division, you're guaranteed to make the playoffs.
Correct.
But you're not guaranteed to be a top 4 seed.
Right. Like if last year the Falcons would have been the 7th seed, right?
They would have been the 7th seed.
The bottom seed.
Yeah.
All right. So you want it to be and look, that's been something that's been debated for
I think
a long time now.
Division winners guaranteed to make the playoffs, but your seeding is not guaranteed.
Will that ever change? I think it would.
I do
think that's going to change one day.
We've seen the NBA change their playoff format though for the worse by going to this stupid bracket
Yeah, the
system.
play. I hate and the play-in.
And the play-in tournament, which is just let's because again, the NBA disrespects their fans and their regular season more than any pro sport.
And you're giving
and then let's
the
do more
Hawks
of it.
and the Bulls a chance. And they're not deserving of a chance.
They're not.
Like it's the trophy society. Let's give everybody a chance. It's ridiculous, man. and then the Flyers beat the Devils. They keep their season alive.
It's so exciting.
They could actually be playing to get into the playoffs tomorrow.
If big ifs, Capitals game doesn't mean anything tonight against Boston.
Right.
Even though you're thinking it does, it really doesn't. Other than if the Caps lose, you have the opportunity to beat them in regulation or overtime tomorrow night and eliminate them. If the Penguins lose tonight, you win tomorrow night, you eliminate them. The only team you're worried about is the Red Wings. The Red Wings cannot win both games.
So
the Red Wings cannot win both games.
So I saw you do something over the weekend. You did like the pro Philly parlay.
Yes, I did.
So
and I got.
Are you going to parlay?
Oh yes.
What, you're going to go Montreal,
Boston, and Nashville, the win in regulation or overtime.
and then you can make a bet for a day ahead, right? You could probably still.
No, the line won't be out for tomorrow.
All right, so you won't do the Flyers
because of the fact, and it won't be out because of the fact that the Flyers play Washington.
Okay.
So they're playing tonight. So that game won't be able to be there.
So are you going to do a parlay tonight?
I'm doing it again.
How'd the last parlay go?
It did not go well.
Should we do a reverse mush parlay?
No, because that's
one will
against.
hit.
No, that one will hit, and then we're screwed. No, I absolutely would. I'm hoping Nashville's a big one tonight.
Yes,
because if Nashville wins tonight, and if Nashville wins tonight, just put it this way: you can handle your business. You know you can eliminate the Capitals with a win, and you know you can eliminate the Penguins with a win. Ooh. So it's huge.
I have a question.
Yes.
And we got today's headlines in a second. Is it? You know how last week we did the preference of viewing? Is it a violation to go like Montreal Red Wings before Phillies tonight?
Yes.
It is a violation.
It's a violation
because it's so you need the Red Wings to lose one of these games. So you're hoping that if it's tonight, it's freaking gravy.
Right.
If it's tonight, it's gravy. I mean, the Flyers could wake up tomorrow morning and Keith Jones could just be like, are you freaking kidding me? This is how my game 82 begins.
Yeah.
John Tortorella. This is how game 82 looks. And remember, one of the finest moments in Flyers history started in a win in game 82 in a shootout.
Yep, absolutely. All right, it's time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What do we got, Connor?
What's up, guys? Well, we've got something that you guys have both tried to steal from me today, so we're going to get right to it here. I'm not sure if people saw this, but final game of the regular season, the Philadelphia 76ers are not the only team that gives out free chicken based on free throws. The Los Angeles Clippers do as well. They were playing the Rockets, and a friend of ours, Boban Marjanovic, also a friend of L.A. and currently playing for the Rockets, was on the free throw line late in this one. Here's what happened.
Potentially be some free chicken on the board if he misses his second free throw.
Oh, man, free chicken on the board.
Yeah, so that's why the fans are getting a little frothy.
Oh, they're pointing to you. Boban's playing with the crowd. Say, you want chicken?
Here's your job.
Gave him chicken. He's a man of the people. He's a man of the people.
You did that on purpose?
He did. He gave out free chicken.
I freaking love that.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
So Boban Marjanovic, he knows what he's doing. He's 35.
Yes.
You know, he plays 5 minutes a game. He's becoming more of an actor, right? We've seen him in John Wick, right?
Well,
he's doing the goldfish. Is it goldfish commercials with Tobias? Bobby, the better actor, maybe even better basketball player, but I don't know.
Wow, all right.
But he knows
Tobias' performance did not move me.
Right, yeah, exactly. Just like, you know, a lot of his performances in the last 5 years. Happy Tobias Harris last regular season game day.
Okay, that's a little
am I going too far?
That's a little mean today.
Can't you tell I'm excited?
Let's focus on the free chicken.
I want him to still have some moments here in a Sixers unit.
I agree
How
with
about
you.
I want him to have any moments?
Yeah, please.
In a Sixers unit.
I love it. I think that's really cool, and it's a great look. He gains fans for life, right? Like, even though he's almost probably, I don't know how much longer Boban Marjanovic plays in the league. He's 35.
It's unbelievable.
It's not, he's more of a vibe guy.
He's the anti-Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas tried to fight somebody for wanting a Frosty, and Boban's like, I'll give it to you, bro. Chicken, yours.
He said he just wanted a Frosty, man.
All-timer.
That was hilarious. But no, that was a really cool story. I love Boban Marjanovic. Not necessarily as a player, but I love him as the vibe.
Speaking of cool stories, we had a great sports moment over the weekend. I want to give you guys a chance to react to what we saw in Augusta on Sunday.
Scotty Scheffler putter back and in. Scott
Scotty, he's done it again. Scotty Scheffler, for the second time in 3 years, is the Masters champion.
I agree with what John Kincade said before the show today. This is Connor Thomas's fault.
It is. He called for this.
You wanted an easy Masters.
If I'm calling for everything and getting everything right, shouldn't you guys just start listening to me?
No, but just because you're calling for something doesn't mean I'm supposed to like it. I didn't like that you thought the Phillies would split with the freaking Pirates.
No. That's not what he said.
I'm just right. What did he say?
Remember,
John?
Connor, what he said. He goes, we should expect that the Phillies can split with the Pirates.
Can split.
We should expect that the Phillies can split with the Pirates.
Yeah, it's
right.
horrible.
We should expect that, and they did.
Okay, but what you're saying right now is wrong. Just because you were right about the Masters, you wanted it this way.
Yes.
Why do you want an easy Masters?
Dude, I like dominance.
No, that's
terrible.
horrible.
It was
dude.
terrible.
Dominance.
That was the worst back nine of a Masters that I can remember in forever.
Dude, the
there
best
was no
Masters
drama.
are the ones where it doesn't even have to be a playoff hole.
It's a horse race.
Just at the end, the 18th, where the putt matters to win it.
Oh, wait a minute.
There was drama earlier on in the round.
There was no drama.
There was
never any drama
point
yesterday.
where there were 4 guys tied for the
DeChambeau
lead.
was in first place after round 1, and then after that, it was Scotty Scheffler for the rest of the way.
Seriously, the Tommy Tight Pants wasn't DeChambeau was not beating him. That wasn't happening. Connor just likes DeChambeau. By the way, here though, Billy, my buddy Billy Kramer, sends along the note, and he goes, people who bet the over want to kill Boban. The total was 222.5. And it finished at 221.
Well, free chicken. Break even.
No, the thing is, in the era of gambling associated with pro sports, what Boban did can't be allowed to happen. And I was waiting. I did not even know the law. No, it can't.
Dude,
you can't.
No, yes, you
can't.
can.
No.
How are you going to prevent that?
Because of the fact that you have somebody playing to the crowd
He
going,
threw the game, Connor.
What, are you going to put a shot collar on him and if he misses?
No, but in the era of you can't make it that obvious. Because people are betting on over-unders.
Now, it's funny.
But he wasn't doing it for the betting.
No, I understand he wasn't. But it affected it.
It's crazy how this is everybody's mind. I just got a tweet from another John. You have how many burner accounts do you have, dude? It's weird. John on the lane says NBA will have an issue with Boban in 3, 2, 1.
Because of the you can't do that. They have to. He has to be fined or something.
No,
I guarantee. Yes, they have to.
Final game of the regular season.
It doesn't matter. The games are being wagered on. You can't have it, whether it's all in fun, free chicken or not. You can't have players.
That's wet blanket.
Purposely doing
what
that.
happens first? He gets fined or whatever, or the leagues lose these kind of breaking for chickens.
He will be fined first.
But they're going to put out. Maybe they do put out a statement like,
he
hey,
will be fined first.
Interesting.
But
that's the thing. My mind did not even.
No,
for
I get you.
A second go there.
Mine did going earlier today, and I didn't read about the totals. And then my buddy texts me, and he goes, "The line it closed at 222.5." He said the NBA is going to have an issue with this.
Yeah, or just don't bet the over/under for Rockets Clippers. And
final regular season game. You know what? You deserve to lose your money.
If a game is on the board, this stuff can't happen. You just can't. You can't purposely. And he was hilarious.
That's what we think
It was hilarious.
It sounds like Haley betting Russian ping pong. All right, let's wrap it up with this. Something you guys talked about earlier today.
It is the most tired talking point that we've got it so bad here. And so many people still trot it out. Man, we just get kicked in every time. BS. Again, I'd rather to be there to be kicked in the privates than not even be relevant. And I spent a long time of my life in another sports market that would kill to get to live the life that we've led.
I don't know anything other than being relevant. My life. I mean,
your lifetimes, you guys.
There was always a team.
I have called you and Connor spoiled brats.
And you know what? It's not that I disagree with you, because I don't disagree with either of you guys, and I think we're all on the same page with this. Philly has it really good. Here's what I'll ask you, because, Andrew, you brought up a guy that was like, I wanted the Sixers to lose early because of the championships lost in such a short time frame. I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't have that thought flash into my mind. Now, having it flash into your mind and vocalizing it are different things. But is there a limit where you get so close for so long that you're almost just like, screw this?
That you'd rather not get close again?
Do you guys have a breaking point, do you think? Or is it, I'll take championship losses all day, every day, forever.
I would keep on going.
I have my hand on the Bible that I would absolutely – I'll lose every year in any championship series because 2022 is burned into my memory as an Eagles fan and as a Phillies fan as two of the greatest seasons, a great season and a great run that I will remember forever. So absolutely sign me up for a lifetime of heartache.
And I get in the moment, I hear what you're saying, Connor, in the moment, but are you sitting here thinking back to those losses right now?
No.
Like, you're happy that your teams were in it. And, oh, by the way, still in it. Like, it's not like, let's say the Raptors lost the Kawhi year. They didn't win the finals that year. Might be different because they knew Kawhi was leaving, and they were going to, even though they actually were pretty good the following season, probably because they had a good head coach.
Yes.
He's now the head coach of your Philadelphia 76ers. That might be different because they knew it was it. Whereas now we know that there's still chances. Like the Eagles, as bad as last year ended up being, you know that they still have a chance this year. And I would make the case that they could have still had a chance last year had the locker room not blown up.
And, well, Tampa beat them. And then Tampa had the ball in their hand with Baker Mayfield in Detroit with a chance to take the lead in the game the next week. So they had a chance.
They had a chance.
They had a chance.
And I think they have a chance this year. I think the Sixers have a chance this year. I think the Flyers will someday.
Now, the one thing I'd remind everyone is that Connor Thomas does share common DNA with a golden retriever that you might see at the park.
I don't think DNA, maybe personality traits.
Connor Thomas is a 90-pound golden retriever chasing a tennis ball, running around at the dog park, greeting everybody who comes up. He has that demeanor as a sports fan. Connor can be kicked. Connor could be put out into the yard and yelled at. And 2 minutes later, Connor's shaking his backside.
Yeah, but he was just saying how he did have that thought.
Nah. I mean, I don't buy it. Connor is one of the most positive sports fans that I've ever encountered.
I just got a tweet from Drewster.
Okay, hi,
that
Drewster.
said that this is a tired narrative, the fact that we have it good here.
Really?
How is that we have it good here?
Well, here's the thing, right? Because we look at championships and contention differently. And I do think that there are parts of the fan base that believe the championship is all that matters. And if you're going by championships,
then it sucks.
Do not have it good here.
No, we don't.
But you guys don't go by, you guys enjoy the ride, and not every fan is like that.
Right. If a fan base, if it's judged by that, again, that person right there is saying, I'd rather be a Marlins fan. I've seen 2 championships since 1997. So in 27 years, I've seen 2 championships, where in 27 years I've seen 1 championship for the Phillies. So I'd rather be a Marlins fan. It is that's the tired narrative.
That's the tired narrative.
That's the tired narrative.
Understand it, though.
No, I can't.
No, I don't.
Try and put yourself.
Dude, 1997 was 27 years ago.
Right.
And you know what? We have
it's also like we're doing the Cowboys. So people would rather be a Cowboys fan because they've won more Super Bowls than the Eagles?
Listen,
no.
I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm saying if you value championships, which it is the ultimate in sports. Nobody can deny that. If you value that more, which there's an argument that you should, this has not been good. All right? I'm not in that camp. I agree with you guys, but part of me understands why somebody could build that narrative.
No, the narrative is, no, because it doesn't hold up. Because if you would say, like Marlins fans, no. Oh, wait, there aren't Marlins fans.
Right.
It doesn't hold up. Oh, the White Sox have won. Oh, whatever. Like someone trying to say, well, the White Sox have won. And there are no fans in their building. It's you're talking about situations where people say they value championships. But in reality, these cities that even get championships, then nobody goes.
Well, and
the
here's
Detroit
the other
Pistons.
The only reason why a Saturday ball game against the Pirates had I didn't really see what the attendance was Saturday.
It was a great crowd.
Yeah, it was a great crowd. 40-some thousand, right? On a Saturday in April against the Pittsburgh Pirates. You know why? It's not because the Phillies have won championships.
Right.
It's because they're a good baseball team.
No, it's also
because they're relevant.
Well, it's also because of the rides of 22 and 23.
Correct.
Because in 21, this team was dragging at the gate.
Like, nobody's going to the Marlins games to watch Sandy Alcantara pitch.
By the way, 22.
No, he's hurt, but
No one's going to the Marlins if they win the World Series.
Right.
No one's going to the Detroit Tigers game because it's cold most of the year. No one's going to the Pistons because they're worried they're going to get in a fight with a player. It's just we
have it better here.
In Miami, it's beautiful.
Right, they're on the beach. The examples that you're using are kind of like fan base dependent too. Like, those fans wouldn't go if those teams are good.
No, but those fans may go if
Fine.
they had our history.
Fine, then let's do this.
They may go if they were always relevant, always knocking on the door. It shows you. The Phillies, 2022 to 2023, average per game attendance in 2023 went up 10,000 plus fans a game. Why? Because of the feel good of 2022. What about 2024? They're ahead of last year's pace as far as selling tickets. Because what would happen to those cities that we talk about, well, fan base dependent, if they had consistently the product we have and the products that we have, they'd pack the stadium more.
So here's what we'll do. To your point, Connor, let's focus on Boston, New York next.
Well, that's a little more difficult to navigate Boston.
Right. Well, yeah, because
it's more difficult. Boston's.
And New York.
Boston is the blessed.
But that's what we'll do. But again, it's not just about fans. It's also how our teams have been.
And football should be weighted much heavier.
And the Eagles right now, not even close when it comes to Eagles-Patriots. So we'll continue this conversation. Do we have it that bad here? I don't think so. I'm glad that my teams are and it's not just relevant like they're on national TV. No, it's relevant because the NBA media thinks the Sixers are a dangerous team in these playoffs. The Phillies, everybody thinks, might not be great in the regular season. They're built for the playoffs. You've heard local media say that. But you've also heard national media say that the Phillies are built for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
people
what you
see
hear.
this team. Same with the Eagles. The Eagles are a team that a lot of people will pick to win the division this year. So do we have it all that bad here? Also, Jimmy Kempski puts out an article. The top 10 options with the Eagles' first-round pick. We'll start to run through that as well. It's Kincade and Salciunas. We want to hear from you on the text line. Do we have it all that bad here? 610-632-0975. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually leaves.
I would also say that the Eagles should take a cornerback just to show that they need some more depth throughout the rest of the season, as the cornerback positions that we've seen throughout this year did not do that. So I'm going to go with cornerback.
The Eagles should draft, and the draft's coming up at the end of the month, a linebacker. They always draft a linebacker, and you know they're going to draft a linebacker. They're going to draft a good linebacker because it's linebacker university with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I want you to be honest with us. Would you rather be right, even though it might be a negative opinion about your teams, or would you rather be wrong, which means your team benefits from it? I know the Sixers are a prime example. Ben Simmons was a prime example. It's also like the Doc Rivers thing with the best show ever always says he never won a game in this town. Tyrese Maxey drops 52 points last night. Dude, in 54 minutes.
Imagine
54 minutes.
That was unbelievable. And more importantly, it's you don't expect when Joel Embiid's out, that Tyrese Maxey can just carry the franchise to huge success. But what he's shown you, like 3 different nights,
yes,
he can put up 50.
Yeah.
He can put up, and he's one of those guys that can do that. That can on a given night, he can do it. And more importantly, on the other nights, he's not crappy.
Right.
He's just a little more human.
Yeah.
Last night, they needed an inhuman effort. It would have secured them. If they had lost last night, it would have secured them that they were in the play-in game.
Right. And now you still have a chance.
Now they
to
still
get
have a
the 6th
chance.
seed. I know it's still tough to get there, and we'll
Math
get to that
bad,
later
yes.
on. But look, that was a great win for the Sixers.
Him tonight nationally, it is the women's Final Four, and I'll tell you, it's got more attention than I think any time I've been alive. But North Carolina.
So we have another question, right, about the Phillies. I'm sorry. This is what happens.
Sorry, yeah, so
you get a couple people in the room that love talking hoops and changes. What's up, Joe?
Have you guys seen the new city editions? And do you like that they're wearing them every Sunday for all the Sunday games?
They'll be unveiled at 10.
There was a.
They're out.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's the stuff that you've seen.
You don't think it's the
I do not.
lightning one?
No, I
do. I've heard that the hat is pretty fire.
I will tell you that the jerseys that have been leaked out are the jerseys that you wear.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I think.
I didn't know if you were going to.
I think they look like a softball home run hitting.
Oh, I think that
I don't like them.
I don't like them at all.
But I'm a very boring traditional.
I want your color scheme.
I want your. I don't need. It's trying too hard.
So it's the color scheme and it's the lettering and it's the.
The Phillies have such. What do the Phillies have? 4 in the rotation now.
Yes.
I'm still gonna buy one.
I'm not.
Oh,
I like my baby blue, man. The powder blue. That's all I need.
Like he's a.
Yeah, but the light is too much for me. It's way too much.
It's the lightning with the yellow.
Yeah.
All right.
Just doesn't. No.
Too much going on.
No, too much. I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually leaves.
I would also say that the Eagles should take a cornerback just to show that they need some more depth throughout the rest of the season, as the cornerback positions that we've seen throughout this year did not do that. So I'm going to go with cornerback.
The Eagles to draft, and the draft's coming up at the end of the month, a linebacker. They always draft a linebacker. You know they're going to draft a linebacker. They're going to draft a good linebacker because it's linebacker university with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I want you to be honest with us. Would you rather be right, even though it might be a negative opinion about your teams, or would you rather be wrong, which means your team benefits from it? I know the Sixers are a prime example. Ben Simmons was a prime example. It's also like the Doc Rivers thing with the best show ever always says he never won a game in this town. Tyrese Maxey drops 52 points last night. Dude, in 54 minutes.
Imagine
54 minutes.
That was unbelievable. And more importantly, it's you don't expect when Joel Embiid's out, that Tyrese Maxey can just carry the franchise to huge success. But what he's shown you, like 3 different nights,
yes,
he can put up 50.
Yeah.
He can put up, and he's one of those guys that can do that. That can, on a given night, he can do it. And more importantly, on the other nights, he's not crappy.
Right.
He's just a little more human.
Yeah.
Last night, they needed an inhuman effort. It would have secured them. If they had lost last night, it would have secured them that they were in the play-in game.
Right. And now you still have a chance.
Now they
to
still
get
have
the
a
6th
chance.
seed. I know it's still tough to get there, and we'll
Math
get to that
bad,
later
yes.
on. But look, that was a great win for the Sixers.
Him tonight nationally, it is the women's Final Four, and I'll tell you, it's got more more attention than I think any time I've been alive. But North Carolina.
So we have another question, right, about the Phillies. I'm sorry. This is what happens.
Sorry, yes, sir, we
you get a couple people in the room that love talking hoops and changes. What's up, Joe?
Have you guys seen the new city editions? And do you like that they're wearing them every Sunday for all the Sunday games?
They'll be unveiled at 10.
There was the.
They're out.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's the stuff that you've seen.
You don't think it's the?
I do
the
not.
lightning one?
No, I
do. I've heard that the hat is pretty fire.
I will tell you that the jerseys that have been leaked out are the jerseys that you wear.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I think.
I didn't know if you were going to tell
I think they look like a softball home run hitting.
Oh, that's no. I think that
I don't like them.
I don't like them at all.
But I'm a very boring traditional.
I want
the color scheme.
I want your. I don't need. It's trying too hard.
So it's the color scheme and it's the lettering and it's the.
The Phillies have such. What do the Phillies have? 4 in the rotation now.
Yes.
I'm still gonna buy one.
I'm not.
Oh,
I like my baby blue, man. The powder blue. That's all I need.
Like he's a powder blue.
It's too much for me. It's way too much.
It's the lightning with the yellow.
Yeah.
All right.
Just doesn't. No.
Too much going on.
No, too much. I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first.
Speaking of Avelo Airlines, our 8 o'clock sponsor.
How were the winners?
It was awesome. It's a shame that you were not here on Friday. You were dealing with some stuff. So this upcoming Friday will be a lot of fun.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Dude, it was emotional. It was such a special moment for Connor and I to be able to call and tell them that they won live on the radio. It was really cool. People were happy tears, right?
That's fantastic.
And the stories, they're heavy, right? Like I think it was 2 cancer survivors, one U.S. sergeant.
Which is fantastic.
We support the troops. And then a single mother of 3 who has 3 jobs. So she just does not have the time to go on to a vacation, but we were able to take care of her
maybe
thanks
not
to
the
Avelo.
finances
Or
to
the
be
finances,
able to do
right.
it, yeah.
Right, and
that's awesome.
And one of the cancer survivors, thank God, right, everything's good, but she just finished all her treatments, so she normally goes down the shore Memorial Day weekend, could not afford it this year. But now she has a trip for 2 on a Avelo
Anywhere
Airlines.
she wants to go. That is so awesome, and we'll look forward to having winners this Friday, next Friday.
Yep.
And the entries are still pouring in.
Yeah, you go to 975thefanatic.com. Go to the website, go to the contest page. Just because we gave out winners last week doesn't mean that you can't nominate somebody. And oh, by the way, there were a bunch of nominees last week
that are still in the
running. Right. So we just want to make that clear. Like if you're the person that you nominated didn't win this past Friday, they still have a chance this upcoming Friday and the 26th. Because Connor, we didn't agree on all of them.
No, we did not.
Right, like because there's so many.
Not that we didn't think any of the winners deserved it, but there's just so many
Well, you said
options.
the one sergeant you could absolutely beat him on a battlefield.
Yeah, that's what Connor
you
did
said. You could on a battlefield. You
put
could have
me in
beaten
Call of
him.
Duty 1v1 me. Bro.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's still chances for people to win the next 2 weeks, which is amazing. It's all brought to us by Avelo Airlines and in the Wilmington Airport, Delaware's favorite airport, is close to home and has convenient parking, shorter lines, and an easy, relaxed atmosphere. To fly Velo out of the Wilmington Airport, visit AveloAir.com.
If you didn't see, by the way, the Call of Duty thing from the network news, one of the network news is, I believe it was David Muir. They were asking single women things that they find most unattractive about men. And the Call of Duty headset is absolutely something that women found in their top 3 unattractive that they go, man, off the list.
Well,
off the list.
Good thing Christy and I already got
She already
locked.
picked you.
Good thing
She
we
already
already got
picked you.
locked up because I'd be in a lot of trouble.
You'd be dead.
All right, so before we get to the comparing of Philadelphia to Boston, New York, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about whether or not Philadelphia fans have it all that bad. If we're talking specifically championships, then yes, it has sucked, right? But for you to even be considered a contender, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And we have 3 teams that are considered contenders. There are cities that don't even have contenders. There are teams that aren't even rebuilding. They're just in this, like Chicago. You brought up the sports team in Chicago. It's not that great right now.
No, it's terrible.
The Bulls did not trade Andre Drummond at the trade deadline because they didn't want to give up on their season, where they are the 9th seed in the NBA play-in tournament right now. Like that, to me, that is criminal. The Chicago Bears have been buyers the last 2 trade deadlines.
Yep.
The Chicago Cubs fired their manager, who is a fan and team favorite, because they think Craig Counsell is some wizard. I'd much rather be Philadelphia than Chicago.
Yes.
Like, it's not even close.
It's not even close.
And, oh, by the way, they have 2 teams in baseball.
It's not even close. I mean, it's you would not want to trade places with Chicago.
No.
And
even though they've won more recently in a couple of their sports.
They built a giant ad campaign around now, trying to – that now they're going to get back. And Dansby Swanson is at the center of it for the Cubs. That Chicago sports is coming back and everything.
Yeah, we'll see.
There, yeah. Guess what?
I like the Phillies better than the Cubs right now.
Wake me when it happens.
So we'll get to Boston, New York in a second. But Jimmy Kempski put together his top 10 things the Eagles can do with their first-round pick.
Okay.
All right? So we won't go through all 10 right now. We'll start running through them. I'll give you number 10. And I love this. This is more so a talking point that he loves. Nobody's pretending the Eagles will draft a running back or a linebacker in the first round this year. Remember a lot of the Bijan Robinson conversation last year? Even though national media people still, like Schefter, did bring up that the Eagles were interested in Bijan Robinson.
Not where they drafted.
Right.
He would have had to have slid, but the Eagles were interested in Bijan Robinson. And the fact that they went and got Saquon Barkley, who has tons more tread off the tire and everything, and an injury history, tells me I believe Schefter 100% on that.
That they were interested. Yeah.
But not at the price that it would have taken.
And Atlanta, way too high.
Too high.
Number 9, he says the Eagles drafting of Brock Bowers. Now, this is an interesting one because I know we've talked about this a lot. Brock Bowers is the top-rated tight end in the draft class. So it makes sense for the Eagles to go after him because of the timeline of tight ends.
Yes.
I've said this to you a couple of times. Tight end in Eagles is like catcher for Phillies. And there's always a good one back
Good
there.
succession plan.
JT, before JT was Chooch. Obviously, there's like the years of Cameron Rupp. But JT, Chooch, Lieberthal, Darren Dalton. That's 4 catchers.
Well, Lieberthal. But I mean, still.
But he was there for a decade, right? So you had, like, it's like the Steelers with coaches. They've only had 3 coaches in like 60 years. Bowers makes sense because it's the timeline of the Eagles drafted Goddard at this age of Ertz. Goddard is now of the age of Ertz when they drafted Dallas Goedert. Ertz when they drafted when they had Selleck, they drafted Ertz. It's all around the same timeline.
But they drafted them not with the 22nd pick, which is what you would need. Which is what you would need to do to get Brock Bowers.
Now they drafted him in the 2nd round. So the question is,
he won't be there.
No, I know.
So,
they drafted the other guys in the 2nd round.
Right.
We've talked about this, and we've talked about it with Andrew DeCecco, that this is a very top-heavy draft. So would it end up being worth just taking Bowers at 22?
I got to tell you, Brock Bowers would be worth the 22nd pick.
Right.
Value, talent-wise. But I don't believe the Eagles will do it because of needs.
So over the weekend, they signed a tight end, C.J. Uzomah, who's a good hands-catching tight end. He's better than how many times? I remember you talking about this on the morning show a lot when it was with Bob and Pat. That if Goddard went down, you're screwed.
Stoll.
Because it was Jack Stoll and Grant Calcaterra, right?
It's not.
If Goddard goes down now, you have an actual capable tight end that can score, that can make some plays for you.
I'm going to tell you that, and it's going to seem like heresy to some, if you draft Brock Bowers, day one, he's ready to come in.
And be your starting tight end.
And be every bit as good as what you get out of Dallas Goedert.
And that's why they won't do it.
And that's why they won't do it. You are correct, Connor.
Now, the beauty is, in this situation, Goddard can actually block.
He can.
When you had Ertz,
you had a great pass catcher.
Right, but it was like, you could still do 13 person. You could do all kinds of stuff because you have 2 guys that can actually block. Ertz, they kept on the field because he was Zach Ertz, but Goddard was actually able to block, and it's not like you would have 2 only pass-catching tight ends.
And I believe with the offense that they've got going now, part of getting Saquon, they knew Saquon could block. And they know that Saquon blocking, he takes pride in it.
Yep.
And that's awesome.
All right, so there's 8 more we'll continue to get through as the show goes on. So we have a text, Connor, on if we have it good. So let's get to that text And then we'll talk about Philadelphia in comparison to Boston and New York, because those are the two big ones. And they're basically our cousins. So what's the text, Connor?
Yeah, so Jacob from Clearwater checks in, says, living in the Tampa area, Philly doesn't have it bad at all. Philly has superstars, owners spending, and players that play for the city. Tampa has had multiple championships in the last several years, but you wouldn't even know it being down here, and says you'd much rather take Philly, where the love and the fire and passion exist, more than championship here or there for a fan base that doesn't care.
Well, that sounds like a Philadelphian that is transplanted to Florida.
Yes.
Like, look, if you're a Tampa fan, even though there might not be many of them, you are living a great life right now.
You've seen some fun stuff
in very recent years, right? So if you are a born and raised Tampa Bay person, you're happy. Like, it's been better than Philadelphia. Let's face it, multiple championships. It's been better than Philadelphia.
It's a little humid.
Their fan bases don't reflect it, though.
Right, but we shouldn't just base it off of
because I do think that's part of it.
It is part of it.
A fan base shows its happiness and excitement.
I don't know, man. Some people don't care, and it doesn't mean that the sports scene isn't good.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that is the truth. Yeah,
like the Tampa Bay sports scene, I can make the case, has been better than Philadelphia's in the last 5 or 6 years.
Has been pretty exciting.
Right? We talked about the Cups. We've talked about the Super Bowl. The baseball team is always in the running. Now, let's compare Philadelphia to Boston.
No, let me do New York.
All right, let's do New York.
Let me do New York. If you were at like a Sixers New York, I was in second grade the last time the Knicks won it. Wow. So we talk about the Flyers being a pathetic, waiting 49 years. We talk about the Sixers 41 years. This is ridiculous. I was a second grader.
But the way they talk about the Knicks, man, you would think the Knicks.
The Knicks have been a non-factor almost my entire life. And more importantly, second grade, I didn't really know the Knicks. I knew the team name, maybe. So it just tells you they've never been relevant.
And can I make the case? They're lucky that Jalen Brunson's becoming the player that he is.
They are.
Because if he doesn't, Julius Randle's been a mess. Jalen, they would not be winning games if it's not for Jalen Brunson.
The Rangers are 30 years since a Stanley Cup. 54 years drought before that. So you're talking about
nothing this century that lasts is 94.
Exactly. So I mean 94. So 30 years since a cup, and their drought before that was 54 years.
Right.
So no, they do not. Rangers are they're just like they have won, but it's like Yankees. If your kid was in kindergarten when the Yankees won their last World Series, they're now a college junior.
Right. Well, we're doing 2000 and on from the initial set point, so they did have a pretty good run there.
No, but they don't. No, because the college junior that's the last time they won a championship.
It's not college junior.
Yeah, you could make. I could say.
No, but I'm saying it's 2000 is what.
Yeah, but I could say the 30-year-old that wasn't in kindergarten watched all those World Series.
No, the Phillies are one less.
Right.
College seniors. Now the Giants fans, if you have a kid who's graduating high school in June, that's a Giant fan. They were in kindergarten the last time the Giants won a Super Bowl. So when you put it in that perspective, as far as the age of a child and in a sports fan base.
But that's changing the initial
bad.
parameter.
No, it just tells you it is for your mind, it's a framework. It hasn't been that good.
And oh, by the way, if you're depending on the fandom, Mets Jets have sucked.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
the Mets and Jets have been awful.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. By the way, the Islanders have not been a factor.
No.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things that play into
that. And everybody talk about it's New York. New York, New York.
Yeah, please.
We might have it better here. We'll continue this conversation. I say we do have it, but not might be better here. We have it better here. So we'll continue this conversation. I have more Jimmy Kempski, his top 10 options for this Eagles with their first-round pick, if they in the first round, because that might be another option. Also, Nick Nurse spoke about Joel Embiid yesterday. We'll play that for you because he might make you feel better. Well, he might not make John feel better, but we'll try. And speaking of Embiid, a tweet for you that reminds me once again how Embiid is the most disrespected athlete in Philadelphia. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
10 days until the NFL Draft. We have you covered on every storyline.
I do not think the Eagles will draft prepare for the backer in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner, would be the most logical.
Well, I don't read mock drafts because I think they're bogus up until the actual week of the draft. But I'll give you a name that I've had my eye on, Tyler Guyton. He's an offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. He's worked with Lane Johnson. Like, they're working during the offseason. He's a guy that can play right guard to start right away. And then eventually when Lane Johnson retires, like all the other guys are leaving, he could be his replacement. So Tyler Guyton, Oklahoma.
One position I think the Eagles should go for is cornerback this draft. Darius Slay is getting up there in age. James Bradbury obviously was not very good last year. I think you have to draft a young corner to try to solidify that position.
I would love for the Eagles to take a little-known defensive back out of Washington College, Connor Thomas, but I don't think he's really in shape anymore. So I'm going to go with a better defensive back. Give me Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I think the Eagles need to take a cornerback or maybe a tackle to solidify the right tackle spot when Lane Johnson eventually leaves.
I would also say that the Eagles should take a cornerback just to show that they need some more depth throughout the rest of the season, as the cornerback positions that we've seen throughout this year did not do that. So I'm going to go with cornerback.
The Eagles to draft, and the draft's coming up at the end of the month, a linebacker. They always draft a linebacker. You know they're going to draft a linebacker. They're going to draft a good linebacker because it's linebacker university with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I want you to be honest with us. Would you rather be right, even though it might be a negative opinion about your teams, or would you rather be wrong, which means your team benefits from it? I know the Sixers are a prime example. Ben Simmons was a prime example. It's also like the Doc Rivers thing with the best show ever always says he never won a game in this town. Tyrese Maxey drops 52 points last night. Dude, in 54 minutes.
Imagine
54 minutes.
That was unbelievable. And more importantly, it's you don't expect when Joel Embiid's out, that Tyrese Maxey can just carry the franchise to huge success. But what he's shown you, like 3 different nights,
yes,
he can put up 50.
Yeah.
He can put up, and he's one of those guys that can do that. That can, on a given night, he can do it. And more importantly, on the other nights, he's not crappy.
Right.
He's just a little more human.
Yeah.
Last night, they needed an inhuman effort. It would have secured them. If they had lost last night, it would have secured them that they were in the play-in game.
Right. And now you still have a chance.
Now they
to
still
get
have a
the 6th
chance.
seed. And I know it's still tough to get there, and we'll get to that later on. But look, that was a great win for the Sixers.
Him tonight nationally, it is the women's Final Four, and I'll tell you, it's got more attention than I think any time I've been alive. But North Carolina.
So we have another question, right, about the Phillies. I'm sorry. This is what happens.
We
you get a couple people in the room that love talking hoops and changes. What's up, Joe?
Have you guys seen the new city editions? And do you like that they're wearing them every Sunday for all the Sunday games?
They'll be unveiled at 10.
There was
They're out.
Yeah,
no, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's the stuff that you've seen.
You don't think it's the?
I do not.
Lightning one?
No, I
do. I've heard that the hat is pretty fire.
I will tell you that the jerseys that have been leaked out are the jerseys that you wear.
They are.
Yes.
Well, I think.
I didn't know if you were going to.
I think they look like a softball home run hitting.
Oh, no.
I don't like them.
I don't like them at all.
But I'm a very boring traditional.
I want the color scheme.
I don't need. It's trying too hard.
So it's the color scheme and it's the lettering and it's the.
The Phillies have such. What do the Phillies have? 4 in the rotation now.
Yes.
I'm still gonna buy one.
I'm not. I like my baby blue, man. The powder blue. That's all I need.
Like he's a powder blue guy.
Yeah, but the light is too much for me. It's way too much.
It's the lightning with the yellow.
Yeah.
All right.
Just doesn't. No.
Too much going on.
No, too much. I do not think the Eagles will draft a linebacker in the first round. I do not think they will draft a cornerback in the first round. I think that they're going to find an edge rusher or an offensive lineman. I'll go offensive line first round, and I would say there's a chance you get 2 offensive linemen in their first 4 picks in the draft.
The Eagles need to draft defense. Whatever position, corner.
This beautiful Monday. Another great week of weather ahead until the rains start coming later on, but a couple of nice days here. Today's just absolutely beautiful. Love it. All right. I'm going to get to this.
You're laughing already.
It makes me laugh. I can't read the tweet word for word because we
dance around it then.
We should be respectful in society.
Dance around.
Let's first play Nick Nurse after the game or before the game where he talked about the big man.
This was post game.
All right, this was post game. Joel Embiid did not play yesterday. which sent some antennas up for John. Connor and I are much more comfortable right now that Embiid's going to be good. But here's Nick Nurse, who's quick and easy after the game.
He did everything at practice yesterday. We just decided out of caution to hold him out. He'll be ready to go. Yeah, he'll be fine.
He'll be ready to go. He'll be fine.
0% worry.
That is 0% true.
Come on, John.
That was a 0% true statement. Play it again. Play it again from Nick Nurse, if you would, please.
He did everything at practice yesterday. We just decided out of caution to hold him out. He'll be ready to go. Yeah, he'll be fine.
BS.
Why? Why is it BS,
Because it is not. You do not, as an organization. They did not say, we got this one. We got this against the Nets.
Against the Nets, who have nothing to play for. They already got their golf bag packed.
Well, considering it was, there is no freaking way that it was just like, yeah, let's just be really, really cautious. One more game for Joel. Nonsense. What happened on Friday night played into that decision.
It may have.
And if it did, then that answer is not true.
Well, Friday night, did it lead to a major injury? He came back in and played the rest of the game and played at a high clip.
And I've seen the Sixers before play a guy injured and then it hurts.
The same guy.
I got to tell you this. I trust Nick Nurse for a ton of stuff. I'm so excited to see Nick Nurse coach this team if everybody's healthy in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I also think part of the reason that the team ended up with Joel being so bad was the fact that they had Joel on the court when he shouldn't have been on the court when a man fell on his knee.
Right.
So very much like we get on Doc Rivers for that, I get on Nick Nurse for that.
All right.
And I cannot wait to see Nick Nurse coach in the playoffs.
So speaking of Embiid, this tweet. My man, the Boston Gary. I've been talking to Gary for many, many years now. Like all 10 years I've been here at the station, right? Gary's not afraid to speak his opinion, but this is why I keep on saying that Joel Embiid is the most disrespected athlete in Philadelphia. The result yesterday, he responded to my tweet yesterday about how the Sixers went on an 8-game winning streak just to move up to the 7th seed, and they could still play Boston in round 1 if they lose on Wednesday. His response, even though Joel Embiid's not playing yesterday, didn't matter at all.
Okay.
The Sixers won. The Magic won. The Pacers won.
It was honestly a better decision to not play him, considering you won by 20 and the game didn't end up mattering.
Exactly.
But
So Joel Embiid not playing yesterday had nothing to do with the Sixers staying in the 7th seed, correct?
Right.
Correct? Embiid not playing yesterday, they're in the 7th seed. Doesn't
Yes,
matter.
they were the 7th seed because they won, yes.
Gary responds with, yes, and Diaper Boy Embiid is sitting out. Must be that time of the month.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, dude, really?
Okay, wait a minute. Here's what I don't get from either one of you. And I mean this, and I'm not just defending.
And I love
Who is it?
Gary.
Gary.
Boston Gary.
Boston Gary.
Yeah.
I am not saying that I am in the same camp as Boston Gary. But what I will say is, it seems as if you two, and tell me if it's incorrect, just literally discount what he has to say or somebody having that point of view or that fatigue as being irrational, ridiculous.
No. I'll
whatever.
say this. If he misses the playing game, or if he misses game, let's say he plays in the playing game, it gets tweaked, he misses the first game against the New York Knicks, God willing they win, or the first game against the Boston Celtics if they lose to Miami, then I'm going to go, geez, here we go again.
Yes.
I can't do that for game 82 in a game that ultimately didn't matter.
I will tell you here, there is zero reason that if he's fully healthy and he's back and he's ready to go, that he shouldn't have been on the court yesterday.
Well, there's not zero reason.
Zero reason.
Well, what would be the reason?
Let me ask,
precautionary.
I need you to answer this question as truthfully as
you didn't
you
answer
can, John.
mine. You didn't answer mine. What would be the reason?
Precaution.
Precaution.
That's what he said. That's what Nick
What
Nurse
was
said.
the precaution? Because if you can't play your MVP because you're worried he might get hurt.
It's not can't. It chose not to.
They decided not to.
But if if that's in your head, the MVP can't play today because we're worried this might happen.
You know what they may be saying? All right, so if he plays yesterday, is he going to be as good come Wednesday? Maybe they were thinking down the road, we might have to play Wednesday night.
You mean, wait a minute. So in other words, they were concerned that what he did Friday night might be an issue.
They didn't want him to play probably 2 days later and then play again on Wednesday.
What happened Friday night?
Let's say on Friday night they won and the Pacers lost, or whatever. They won, they were already out of the play-in tournament. There was no way he was going to play the final game of the regular season. They probably realized that they were going to be in the play-in tournament, so they go, we might as well not play. Like, they realized they weren't going to change their seating.
I disagree because that option was there. It could have happened. Anything can happen.
Or they thought that they were going to beat
the 8th seed.
Or they thought that they were going to beat the Nets,
and
which they did.
And they might have been the 8th seed.
Okay, but here's the thing, John. Are you better with no Embiid and the 6th seed, or the 8th seed with Embiid?
You're better with the 8th seed as Embiid. But what I'm telling you is the reason they didn't play him yesterday is because whatever happened Friday night was more than they're willing to say to you or more concerning to them than they're willing to articulate. Kate Scott said it yesterday on the broadcast 4-5 times. They are hopeful that he will be back and ready for the play-in game. She didn't say.
There's no way he misses Wednesday.
0% chance he doesn't play.
Her and Allah said over and over again.
I gave a guarantee last week, Connor.
I promise my guarantee's hit.
The word they used was hopeful that he will be there. Not, this is just, if it was just a day off, it would not be, the word hopeful would not be being used by the Sixers broadcast team.
The coach of the team said he's fine.
And it was precautionary.
Yep. And by the way, Connor, you can, the majority of, you think it's like, something out of like one of the Disney Channel shows. It's basketball
and you think
practice
it's something out of General
on Saturday.
Hospital
No,
where
on
there's always
Saturday.
something weird.
No,
We're
on
both
Saturday.
weird.
They're not practicing on Saturday with anything. There's a lot of standing around at practice on the morning after a game. It's ridiculous.
Dude, they probably realized, all right, we're not going to have our seating change. We're going to stay in the 7th spot. Let's give it. We can beat the Nets without Joel Embiid. The Nets have already packed their golf clubs. That may have been what they did.
Or they could be an 8 seed.
And then we'll see Wednesday night. We'll get our answer. I'm sure he's playing Wednesday.
If Tyrese twisted an ankle in that first quarter yesterday, they're an 8 seed today.
Okay.
And then that's not good.
Yeah, and then if Embiid twists his ankle, the season's over. So,
I mean, seriously. You just understand the fatigue of people.
I understand the fatigue, but that was game 82.
I think you guys mock it.
Sometimes I do.
And I think that those people have a far more checks in their column of understanding why they feel that way than you guys.
All right, well, let's continue this conversation. I feel bad doing this conversation going into the playoffs.
No, we're hoping for the
best.
We'll
talk about it. So we'll reset the show coming your way next. We have some texts. We would love to get some more texts on this Sixers-Celtics thing. For the people that want the Sixers to take on the Celtics early, I don't understand it. I do understand what you're saying. I just don't agree with it. So let's continue that conversation. Also, do we have it all that bad here in Philadelphia? I say absolutely not. You can climb in on the text line at 610-632-0975. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Sixers wrap up the regular season. I'm Connor Thomas. This update is brought to you by BQ Basements.
Morris Phelps, Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com for flexible spending options on a new heating and cooling system. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Monday morning. Good morning. So let's make this clear.
Okay.
This has been a positive show today.
Incredibly positive.
It's just the last segment that kind of turned a little bit when it comes to the Embiid thing.
Yes. And it's about worry and concern.
Right.
It's not about indictment. It's about worry and concern.
When you're dropping
that guy.
When you're dropping time of the month and diapers.
That's an out of control. That's an over the top.
That was a bit far, and I love Gary. I've been talking to him for a long time.
Gary's funny.
That was a bit much. But here's what we've talked about today. All right, we started off the show at 6 o'clock. It was as if pigs flew. John and I agreed on multiple things today.
Almost everything.
We agreed that we have it good here in Philadelphia, even though we haven't seen championships. The fact that our teams contend is more than what a lot of other cities can say. And it's not just that one team contends. We have 3 teams in the Eagles, Phillies, and Sixers that you could make the case could all win their respective championship or get to their respective championship.
Be in the mix for it.
And it's not because of COVID, right? Like the Eagles made the playoffs a couple years ago because of COVID and because of injuries to quarterbacks. We're talking strictly talent on the team. We have 3 teams in this city, 4 if you count the Union, that could really make a run and do something in their respective championship. All right? Some cities can't even say that they have one team that can do that. So we asked the question, do we really have it all that bad here? Because there are people that only value the champion. We had a guy, John from Delco, who tweeted in earlier that said we only have 2 championships in 172 seasons or something like that. So, no, it's not been good here. Connor even made the case that he understands where people are coming from.
And I don't know how anybody who is born and bred here could have that as their standard. The one thing you have to have is a standard. You have to understand the standard.
The standard is the standard.
If you say the standard here is winning championships, if you're the Washington Commanders, you can't say that.
Right.
If you're the Washington Wizards, you can't say that. The standard, if you put your standard and you're a Philly sports fan at winning championships, you don't understand what the standard is because we don't have it.
Hang on. You can set the standard wherever you want.
No, you can't.
Why not?
Because the standard has to be set of a level of it can't be our standard is winning championships. That's all it is. When you've never done a damn thing, your standard has to be we got to crawl before we walk. And any good organization would do that. This is a building step.
No, that's not organization. It's a fan base.
But a fan base.
The organization shouldn't set the standard. The Washington Commanders should not say we're going Super Bowl or bust. But if the fan base
shouldn't say that either.
If the fan base says I'm not going to consider this like a successful season until I see them win one, like as a fan, your goal is always a championship. Is it not?
The word you just used was successful. If a Washington Commanders fan said to me, I am not going to consider it a successful season unless they win the Super Bowl.
Then they're going to be tired.
Dopes. Yeah. No, then they're dopes with a capital D, and they don't understand sports. They don't understand
And listen,
it.
I do, but look, we have expectations like Super Bowl or bust, World Series.
When you have a right to the 2023 Eagle fan, the 2023 Phillies fan, they had every right to set their expectations at Super Bowl or bust, World Series or bust. But not not before 2022. We didn't.
Right, but that doesn't make the Washington a successful sports
but
city.
Connor, the point is the fact that we can have those expectations.
It's because it's based on something.
Makes it enjoyable to be a Philadelphia sports fan.
I
now,
understand.
look, the collapses, the losses, everything, all that sucks. But that goes into it, right? Like the heartbreak comes into also having expectations. There's no such thing as heartbreak. All right, you want to talk about another major city, D.C.? There's no such thing as heartbreak. No. The Commanders suck. The Nationals suck.
They saw a cup like 5 years ago.
Yes, they did. But right now the Caps are trying to get into the playoffs, as are the Flyers.
And that's the only time the Caps have won anything. And they've been around since '72, I believe.
And when were the Wizards last relevant? When Michael Jordan went?
No, they weren't relevant then because they stunk.
No, I know, but they were actually on the map because Michael Jordan was on the team.
Yeah, but it was so bad that nobody cared about
They had Bradley Beal for like 12,000 years and would barely get into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, DC stinks.
Well, okay, but imagine being a DC sports fan. There are people here that say, man, it's so hard to be a Philadelphia sports fan. the heartbreak sucks, right? It
The
does
heartbreak
suck.
sucks.
But my God, the fact that we can actually have heartbreak, I'm pretty thankful for. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true.
And again, with the Embiid thing, I just believe there are people like you, and I point at both of my partners here.
Yes, hello.
That mock people who have a fear of every time Joel Embiid has a nick, a cut, or whatever, that it's something huge. And I believe they have far more reason to have their opinion than you guys have to have yours.
And that's because we are spoiled brats, as you've said.
And I've said that.
And I agree with you. We have lived in a good time of Philadelphia sports.
Yes.
Now, I love my Sixers to death. So
I know you do.
Joel Embiid getting hurt as much as he does pains me to no end.
It pains every fan.
Right? I know, I get it. But that tweet may have been way too far.
Well, it was way too far.
But that is Embiid not playing in game 82, I don't think should send somebody down a spiral to start being worried about the play-in tournament. I can tell that you are worried. I would rather wait and see what the lineup is before I make my assumption as to whether or not he should or should not have played in game 82, or if he didn't play in game 82, was it because of a reason?
All you need to know is the team broadcaster said they are hopeful that he will be ready for the play-in game.
Explain to me why that outweighs the coach
The head
saying
coach,
he's
yeah.
fine, saying literally he's fine.
Because the coach is saying he's not letting you know what happened Friday night. And by the way, that he wasn't available after Friday night's game either.
You're drawing a lot
And he
from the
wasn't there.
coach saying he's
And he
fine.
wasn't there. Yeah, because this is not first of all, Connor, this coach has even shown me I can't trust him regarding keeping Joel Embiid healthy either.
But when is he
Part of the reason we're in this mess is because of his actions.
Right, but they didn't say before that game he's fine. They
said,
played him.
The team broadcasters said they are hopeful.
All right.
They used the word. They used the word over and
I'm
over
hopeful
again.
too, and
we're all hoping.
But I'm
And
with,
we're all
right.
hoping for the same thing. But the fact that they're using hopeful, the team broadcasters, Connor, don't believe you. What do we always say about coaches and press conferences?
I guarantee
you're taking it as word.
He's playing Wednesday, and he's going to look good. And he's going to look good.
I hope he does.
Wednesday.
And he's going to work Bam Adebayo till no end.
Let's
Screw you,
hope so.
Bam.
Come on,
but hopefully the Sixers win so they don't have to play Boston in the first round of the playoffs.
Let's do that.
And so we'll get to some calls in a second. But Connor, I know we have some texts about this. You can text the show as well at 610-632-0975. I was bummed out yesterday. The fact that the Sixers are still in the play-in tournament, right? And I raised my hand. I was not aware of this ridiculous three-way tie where the division winner of any division is awarded a higher seed. The Orlando Magic, the reason why the Orlando Magic are the 5th seed and the Sixers are the 7th seed is because the Magic won their division in a league that doesn't value divisions ever, except for a weird three-way tie, even though the Sixers have the head-to-head. I'm actually curious to see if the Pacers have the head-to-head against Orlando. The Sixers have the head-to-head against the Magic, and yet the Magic are the 5th seed, and the Sixers are the 7th seed with identical records. Sixers have the head-to-head, but because Orlando won their division, which nobody – I offered Connor $1 billion to name me every team that won their division this year. He gave me 2 teams in one division, and I'm not ripping you for it.
I got close.
Nobody knows.
The Pacers had the edge over the Sixers, though.
Right, so it should be Pacers 5th. Unless
see,
hold on.
Because I mean, is the Pacers had the edge over the Sixers. Sixers had the edge over Orlando. I mean,
and Orlando had the edge over the Pacers.
And there it is. So I mean, so they all had edges. There was a reason it worked out.
But I think it's dumb. We all of a sudden care about divisions when it comes to a three-way tiebreaker.
I hate it.
But there are people, when I put out my tweet of disappointment, that we're doing the whole bring on Boston. You got to play them at some point anyway. I think that's crazy. I would rather lose to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals than lose to the Celtics in the first round of the playoffs.
Anytime.
We have talked about the Sixers not getting out of the second round for 23 years. So if you're telling me right now I have 3 choices and it's to lose to Boston in round 1, 2, or 3, I'm picking round 3.
I'm taking. Everybody should take round 3. And
everybody.
And by the way, if the Sixers go to the playoffs, win a second round series, play the Celtics, and lose a hard-fought, nasty series, it will be nothing less than a successful season.
And that means
to me.
a lot of doubts of
To
Joel
me.
Embiid, for those who do doubt Joel
Absolutely.
Embiid, that goes hopefully out the window.
Absolutely.
It makes so much more sense, but there are people that are arguing that case, saying,
Can't
well,
imagine.
they have a better chance of winning against Boston in round one.
That is not true.
And I don't think that's accurate because the Celtics were by far the better team than anybody in the entire NBA.
And anybody who uses it's better to play them early. Remember, the reason everyone recites the fact that the 2019 Sixers would have won the title is because the Golden State Warriors, the best team in basketball, got injured along their playoff path, and Toronto wiped them out. Toronto should never have won that series. Toronto should never have had a chance to win that series. But they got injured along the way, Golden State.
Yep.
And that could happen to the Sixers, too.
So do we have any texts on this, Connor?
We do. So the first one here is Jim D. from Delray Beach. And he says this season, Joel has won 80% of his games, tops in the NBA, beat Denver, Boston, OKC, T-Wolves, Lakers, all top teams. And the 2 losses to Boston and the Bucks are both 1-point games that Joel played. So that's a statement that
I like that.
We shouldn't be as afraid of the Celtics as maybe we assume. We've got another one here, and I think this is very interesting. No name on this one, but hey, guys, totally agree with your comments about the Sixers, but I think people are wanting to see the Celtics sooner rather than later due to Embiid being injured. If you can extract everything out of him with the Celtics series after Miami, then you have a better chance of making the finals.
Yeah, and then you know what? And then he's banged up in round 2, and then you lose that round because Embiid's banged up.
And they sat him out in Game 82 when if he's healthy, he should have been able to play.
Here's my thing.
So he's injured, or there's something now they're worried about.
Tell me this, John, though. If you're already worried about him now, he's not getting healthier.
No.
So wouldn't that seem to say if you believe there's a problem with Embiid, you'd want Boston earlier?
No. Absolutely not,
No,
because
I
maybe
could
he'll be
also-
healthier in a week.
And then also
He's not getting healthy.
Jason Tatum could be banged up, or
Yes, we
Jalen
don't know
Brown
what,
could be banged
I'm
up.
going to take my chances that along the battle of attrition,
someone else,
something happens to Boston that maybe benefits.
And oh, by the way, again, if you ask me, hey, the Sixers are losing the Celtics, which round do you want them to lose in? I would rather them get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I totally agree.
I'm telling you right now, no matter what round the Sixers play the Celtics in, I don't like the Sixers' chances. Okay?
I don't either.
I'm
being honest.
being as honest as possible.
Absolutely
So
not.
I'd rather it be the Eastern Conference Finals. So I can finally say,
Correct.
for the first time in 23 years.
We can never hear that brought up again on this show.
Right.
That would never be brought up again. It's done. That would be great. Put that one to bed.
I will celebrate that. All right, let's go to the phone line. Let's go to Rob in Lower Marion. Rob, you're on the Fanatic.
Hey, fellas, how you doing?
Good job, Robbie.
Long-time Philly fan. I want to just say, by the way, that being from Philly, imagine if we didn't have this sports culture, it wouldn't be the same thing. Like, the culture is part of the ride, and you got to be part of that. And when you go to other cities and you're a Philly fan, people show you respect. I'd rather have that than, like, what the people in Tampa or D.C. have.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean, dude, look, I know this is a kind of different from what you were mentioning, Rob, but you go to, like, Clearwater during spring training, it's packed.
Philly takes over.
They're selling out spring training games.
And the whole city, every hotel,
It's
everything.
amazing.
I lived in D.C. for 10 years during a Stanley Cup championship and a World Series championship, and you would have never known it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's it. Yeah, go on.
Going on Embiid, look, 2 things can exist together. Number one, Embiid is a disrespected athlete. We're lucky to have him. He's clearly one of the best at his craft. On the other hand, we got 10 years of data on this guy, and if you're out 40 games and you need 7 games to ramp up, and you're missing game 82 where you could have played like 15 to 19 minutes just for like conditioning purposes and against one of the worst teams in the league, that's a red flag.
It's a red
in
flag.
my opinion.
Yeah, but I'll ask you this, Rob. How many times do you see any player play 15 minutes for conditioning? They just get put out. LeBron, like every player.
I think if you're so bad when your best player, because they were like historically bad when Embiid sits, then I don't know how you can look at this and say we need to get him. Anybody who thinks remember all the talk over the years about flipping the switch? We would just flip the switch.
Right.
That has been proved incorrect.
No, I agree with you, and thanks for the call, Rob. I agree with you there, but like I'll ask the question again. When's the last time you saw a star player play 15 minutes for conditioning purposes? They just sit them.
I think, though, that the idea of what he's bringing up is so true here about the culture, too, is that the culture of this city and it's weird because Christina's been exposed to it as a resident here for the first time in her life, now around 2 years. She could tell you who plays most of the positions for the Phillies.
Right.
She can tell you who 3 or 4 guys on the Sixers. She could never have done that in Atlanta. She
Right.
could never have done that.
No, you almost have to know
And
that.
I still watch the games there.
Right.
But it's here. Everywhere she goes.
No, it's different.
She's like, everybody's into it. She talks about going to the supermarket.
Right.
And everybody's in her gear.
Dude,
She
you go
now has all her
you go
hats.
to Acme on an Eagles Sunday. You get, 5% discount?
I think Giant, too.
Awesome, man.
That is a huge factor.
And then, look, our YouTube audience, who we love, right?
They are awesome.
There has been a bond made by YouTube, our YouTube. Like, there's a core group of people that go to FanFest together. And they
tailgate.
Because it starts.
Yes.
I know that it's our YouTube show or the station's YouTube channel, but it's Philadelphia Sports that starts it.
It's them. It's them congregating.
It's amazing. Like, I tailgated the Phillies game on Saturday. I got there at 12:45. The lot was already packed.
It's awesome.
4 hours and 15 minutes before first pitch because everybody's just together and everybody's vibing. Everybody's having a good time. We're bumping into each other, other tailgates. Everybody's just happy to be there.
It's fantastic.
It is totally a different community. Let's go to Mike and Delran. Michael, you're on the Fanatic.
Oh, what's going on?
Hi,
you
Mikey.
doing, man?
Hey, I got a quick question. This Twitter dude, is he from Boston?
Yeah, but he's a Philadelphia sports fan.
Oh, okay.
Diehard. Hates.
No, he's a diehard, though.
And Mike, he has a Boston accent and everything. Hates everything Boston sports.
Okay. I was going to say, we just argued for 20 minutes over something a guy from Boston
Oh,
said.
no. He's a huge
The
fan.
way you talk about the Cowboys, Mike, he talks about everything
In a
Boston.
voice. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Listen, what was Nick Nurse supposed to say? I think everyone's right? I think he will be fine. I think he'll be fine and ready to go. A couple extra days rest. We're not the only people. The fans aren't the only people scared of him getting hurt again. Nick Nurse isn't going to go, yeah, he's good, but man, could you imagine if he hurts his knee? We're in big trouble. Right? He's not going to say that. So
You're right,
we're all
Mike.
here.
You're right, Mike.
We're all right. But listen, I'm going to tell you something. I have been one of those guys that John talked about, like where if you look back at all the data of everything, I have way more reason to be apprehensive than positive about what's going to happen. But the big difference is, I swear to God, I think it's Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse and the lack of a black cloud of a player, whether it's a
Harden or Simmons, yeah.
I think Nick Nurse can coach way better than Brett Brown. Doc Rivers just stands there. I fully think that any success we have is not going to just be this time because of Embiid's health. I think it's going to be Nick Nurse. So as long as Embiid's healthy, I don't care if we see Boston first. I think Nick Nurse can coach this team to a win because I've watched him do it with less talent against when he had Toronto, and he did it against us. Go Birds!
Go Birds,
I love
Mike.
what
I
Mike's
appreciate
saying
the
there
call.
because I said to you this morning, the 8-game winning streak cleansed my.
Yeah.
It just got me so excited for this run. And another reason, Nick Nurse with a full toolbox, which hopefully he has. I'm so excited to see
and it
play
goes
out.
back to what you and I debated last week. And Connor and I actually had the coaching conversation on Friday when you were
Sure.
out. The question was, do we over or undervalue coaching in each respective sport? Because I think it's different with all sports, right? Like baseball, it's managing a locker room for 162 games. I think that's more important than, getting
X's and O's?
at least in the regular season. Come playoff time.
Come
it's
playoff time, it's different.
a lot
Yes,
different.
you're right, though.
What, you're looking at me weird, Connor.
No, I'm agreeing.
Oh,
He
okay.
agrees.
All right.
I'm just
You
nodding
made
my
a
head.
weird face.
I had to blow my nose real quick.
But it goes back to the Game 6 last year. You're right, where Embiid and Harden should not have
They
needed-
turtled.
They did. Correct. But to Mike's point, Doc Rivers just stands there. I do believe that Nick Nurse would have called a timeout in said situation and just said, what the hell's going on?
I would tell you that Phil Jackson, who's regarded as maybe the
Dude,
greatest
what's with
coach.
you and Phil
no,
Jackson?
no, because I'm saying you, because he's the greatest coach of all time.
John, you're getting
and
hung
he
up.
stands,
I'm not even trying to
and
make
he
this
stands
argument.
there.
I'm not trying to make an argument. You keep on getting hung up on it. I'm just saying, I think Nick Nurse would have done something.
What would he have done?
Timeout.
Okay, and said
Hey.
what? Joel, man up.
Yes!
Joel Embiid, man
you're
up.
so honest.
But James Harden, man up.
Yes.
Do you think they would have?
Yes.
Why didn't they know that themselves?
Dude, I don't know. Maybe it's in their DNA. I don't know.
Well, then if it's in their DNA, then whatever he says isn't necessarily going to change
but
anything.
You're just not getting my
Would
point.
you let the building burn because it's not your job to put it out?
No.
At some point, somebody's got to do something.
Right. You've brought up the Sirianni thing a million times. The pilot has a heart attack, and Sirianni stands, and he's a pilot.
Okay,
He
I
stands
can
there.
get that. That is a very good
He
analogy.
could have just called time. Whereas Doc Rivers does this.
He could have.
And you're right. Phil Jackson does this. He also had Kobe and Shaq, who I don't think anyone's saying Harden is Kobe. And I don't think anybody.
If you haven't beaten Harden in that series, you have the reigning MVP.
Yes.
And you have James Harden, who's a top 75 player.
You're not. I am not disagreeing with you.
But I'm just saying.
You have to hear me. I am not
I got you.
disagreeing with
But
you.
for some reason, though, Doc takes much more shrapnel than Embiid does.
No, that's not.
Oh, I disagree.
I think a lot of people blame Embiid for that, but I question why Doc didn't do anything.
I think that's fair, 100% fair.
Well, I'm not bringing it up ever again.
Don't, please.
All right.
Stop.
Coming up next, we continue to talk about the busy week ahead. I have to ask, are we allowed to put expectations on the Phillies, or is Connor going to shoot us down again?
Bang, bang.
You know, he's the producer, so he gets in our ear and tells us move off from this conversation or move on to this conversation. We should ask him, the producer, are we allowed to have expectations for the Phillies against the freaking Rockies? Also, I'd love to hear more about the Sixers playoffs, and do we have it all that bad here in Philadelphia? I don't think so. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Sixers. feel the freaking heat on my skin.
79 today?
Dude, I'm all for it. I like the cold. You guys know that, but I'm more of a summer person because I can do more. Like picking up Cooper from daycare and having them just sit inside for 5 hours until Christy gets home. Not so much fun. Just going outside and go play in the dirt. It's great, man.
We opened up the sort of the screened-in porch, the furniture and everything like that. I sat out there yesterday for like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's what I was outside all day yesterday.
Best.
We planted corn.
You planted corn?
We planted corn. The seeds. We're gonna see if it grows.
Okay, now?
We're gonna try it.
I don't know if you can. I guess you can, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
we've corn seeds.
You have corn seeds.
He's running Johnson's farm in his spare time.
Or I'll keep you guys posted.
Please do.
I want the corn.
It said on the packet in 5 to 7 days it'll sprout through the ground.
Okay, how about this? Today, promise us a post on Twitter of the corn where you planted it, and then a week from now, another
see if
picture
it starts sprouting through.
We'll see if it is, because I will find it hard to believe that you could grow corn just anywhere.
We'll see. We found a good spot, a lot of sunlight. We'll water it a lot, and we'll see.
My mom.
I'm going to try to grow some corn.
My mom grew. I know if you 26 South Maryland, my childhood home.
Yeah.
My mom used to grow tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
In the top garden, we had tomatoes all summer
over the
long.
place. Yeah.
Gigantic. And Mr. Lipton over the fence, he had gigantic tomatoes.
See?
And I love tomatoes. Bob hates them, by the way. You realize that?
All right. So we got. I didn't know, but
Bob hates the tomatoes.
That's weird. All right. 2 things before I get to this Phillies thing, because I have to ask Connor a question if we're allowed to have expectations for the Phillies. Number 1, shout out to Miss Rhonda, who's a fantastic employee, a Hall of Famer.
We love her.
Cheddar jalapeno goldfish.
Cheddar jalapeno.
Yes.
Wow.
They sound delicious. So we'll pass.
Don't give them to
around.
Coop, though.
No, he likes spicy stuff.
Really? Okay.
Yes. The other thing, baseball related, but not Phillies. Connor, I feel like you like it. I hate it. And I feel like John hates it because we're 2 old men in here. I hate Nestor Cortez.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh, geez.
I hate Nestor Cortez.
What he did was very not legal.
Did you see what he did?
Don't like him.
He faked throwing the pitch and then proceeded to throw the pitch. That can't be allowed.
That cannot be allowed.
I love that they let it go, but they can't be let
allowed.
But why did
he faked throwing a pitch and then threw it?
Why did they let that go?
No clue.
But here's the thing: he still gets it to the plate. So like, if I tried doing that, I'm throwing it. It's bouncing.
You're
6
bouncing
feet.
it 20 times.
Like I give him credit for being able to do it. I just hate him.
I
like
can't
him.
stand him.
That one right there is like when an
like
NBA player takes a 7-step travel or something, and they just somehow miss it.
Like,
it happens
like Giannis and LeBron, like all the time.
No, like an egregious, like someone ran under the basket, like pump faked on one side, just full ran out the other side. I forget who, but it's just funny in the moment. It can't be allowed to happen.
No, that can't be allowed.
Who was the pitcher last week that was balking? There was a pitcher who was balking during a game.
And what they were
the Phillies were facing?
And I can't remember it.
Mackenzie Gore or Ruben Amaro on the broadcast.
And Ruben Amaro was like, that's a balk. That is a balk. And so then I went back. No. I went back and watched it from the first time he said it. And Ruben Amaro Jr. was exactly right. It's a balk. And it should be called every single time. It shouldn't be the fact that wasn't called is ridiculous. It's a balk.
That's why we don't have robot umpires.
No, but
John.
Then tell me if they're there.
It's a balk or not.
That should be a balk or not. That should not be missed.
That one was kind of ticky-tack. But Nestor Cortez is a weirdo.
It's a weirdo.
He is a weirdo.
Are we allowed to have expectations for this series, Connor?
Absolutely. If they don't win this series, it's a major disappointment.
And they should be able
it's
to.
the first time he said it.
And I'm glad to
That's
see
not
you
true.
saying that.
That's not true at all. I said it about the Washington National Series and what they do. They went out and won it.
Yeah, but you thought they were going to sweep.
I put expectations when expectations are deserved to be had.
We should expect that the Phillies can split with the Pirates.
Yeah,
that's what
Connor Thomas.
That
we should have
was kind of weak, Connor.
That's weak sauce.
It was correct.
No,
it's not.
it wasn't.
No.
If they had won 4 straight games, I would have looked like an idiot for saying, "Oh, you would have been okay with splitting with this team."
You're saying expectations. You didn't predict the split.
We should expect that the Phillies can split with the Pirates.
Okay, so if I tell you
said
expect
nothing.
it should rain and it rains,
No.
what happens?
You should say we should expect that it can rain. You're saying nothing. And now you're taking credit for it somehow.
I mean,
You didn't say anything.
You took credit for the Masters this weekend, too.
You guys are blaming everything on me, and then I take credit for it, and I can't take. You got to pick a side. Either it's my blame or it's
Connor said Thursday to me, "Oh, I'm hoping we just see somebody run away with the Masters. That would be great because I love dominance.
I don't care if
And
you
I'm saying
agree or not.
It was the worst. That was the worst back nine of a Masters in forever. Even the broadcasters couldn't wait for it to be over.
I can't win.
All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Terrell in Philly. What's up, Terrell?
How's everybody doing today?
What's up, T?
So I got to take John Kincaid's side on this one. I do think that there is something up with Joel Embiid's knee, and I'm a little worried. But like what's easing me down a little bit is the fact that he's still dominating. He's still the best player in the NBA on one leg. That's crazy.
Well, let me also ask you guys this. Terrell, I'll ask you. John, I'll ask you. Don't you think we would have heard something from a Woj by now?
I think there's nothing that they can say. Like, what are you going to say? He's still bothered by his knee, but we're going to ride him out and risk a decline in the top player in the NBA? Like,
There's nothing they can say.
Well, I'm sure they're trying to figure something out.
I mean, the fact that the broadcasters said over and over again they are hopeful that he will be ready for the play-in game.
I'm going to challenge John Kincaid on this. What would you do right now if you keep seeing Joel Embiid favor his leg? Would you sit him, trying to protect the future?
No, I'm playing him. I'm playing him against Miami and hoping I win that game. I'll deal with the fallout or whatever.
Thanks for the
happens.
call, Terrell.
Thank
No,
you, T.
you got to play him.
You got to play him.
There's no debating it. There's no, the only thing you could say is, look, that you can't play in the Olympics, but like you got to play in the playoffs. Like there's no debating that.
And another thing is, gentleman here, Derek goes, John, Bob constantly told you, stop believing coaches and what they say at press conferences. So he's saying to me, you're right about Nick Nurse.
All right.
Don't believe what he says at a press conference.
I'm not worried.
Because they always say, don't believe it, because they'll lie to you. When they don't have to, they'll lie to you.
Here's the disconnect, and this is where I think Andrew and I are, and where you are, John. We're not worried about Embiid's health as far as, he's going to be fine through the postseason and everything. If you're not concerned with Joel Embiid's ability to stay healthy, you're insane.
Right, because it's every year.
We're sitting down to watch a horror movie, and you're jumping at the opening credits. And you don't have to be scared yet. We will have stuff to be scared of.
Here's what I said and I said again, just to make sure the wording, Connor said to me, he has zero concern that there's anything wrong with Joel Embiid.
He takes notes throughout the entire show.
That is absolutely ridiculous. That you would have zero concern that there's anything wrong with Joel Embiid when they sat him out of game 82 perfectly healthy.
I'll have concern because he's going to have points in the postseason where he tweaks something. But I'll be scared at the parts of the movie that are jump scares, and I'm not going to yell at the credits before we have a problem.
Let's go to Ben.
I
Ben,
like
you're
that
on the
analogy.
Fanatic.
Hey guys, how you doing? Huge fan.
What's up, Ben?
Huge fan. So, John, I don't know if you're. I mean, I get. Trust me. When he went, was limping in that game, like my heart immediately was in my throat. And I'm like, oh, here we go, first round exit. But then I went back to when Embiid first came back playing like dynamite. I don't know if you remember. I believe it was his first interview, and he made a comment
and he says, I don't feel good right at the end of the game. How did you feel?
The Thunder
Not
game.
good.
I'm sorry. It must have been the next one. It was the one that he said, mentally he's in a great place because he's not distracted by the MVP race or anything like that. So I'm thinking maybe Nick Nurse is focused on protecting him mentally also. And
that's an interesting thought.
But by him just being like, there's nothing wrong, he's protecting. He knows that if people get a hold of Joe, what's the first thing people are going to ask him?
How you feeling?
What's up with your knee? What's up with your knee? What's up? So
that's not a bad argument.
And then the other thing I wanted to say was, about us being in a good place. It was either you guys or Bob, like last week or something. You guys were talking about going into this season with the Phillies, I believe it was, are we World Series or bust? And I'm sitting there thinking, technically, isn't that how we are at the beginning of every season? I never go into a Philly season saying, hey, let's go for the wild card.
Well, I can tell you when Tommy Joseph was the first baseman of the Phillies, I was saying, all right, who's the next guy in the farm system that's going to replace Tommy Joseph?
Ben, that's where we're totally different.
Thanks for the call, Ben.
I do not go in championship or bust. That'd be like saying going into the Flyers season this year. Well, it's championship or bust.
Right.
That's ridiculous. And for the Phillies, when you have a 10-year drought for the postseason, My goal is postseason.
Right. Now, I will say,
of any way, shape, or form.
when I was like 7, every year was championship or bust.
Well, some fans are perpetually 7.
I don't think that's true.
Oh, yes, it is.
Did you? I do not know the two of you at the time. Did you, as a child, sports fan, young, like grade school, keep it to grade school, did you cry when your team's season was over and they lost?
Absolutely.
Not if it was a big enough
I did
game.
a few times.
I cried.
I did a few
No,
times.
not even big enough game.
Really?
I did, yeah. When
No,
my
I
team
cried at the
season,
Super Bowl in
when my
04,
team was
or 05.
eliminated, I remember. I remember a few times.
It's season's over. You cry.
No, like crying like a. But it ended in like I saw, at the end of grade school, I saw the Phillies in the playoffs every year, like when I was in grade school for 3 years in a row, and they lost in heartbreaking fashion.
Yeah, so you
Playoffs,
cried.
yes.
And it was terrible.
No, I think even regular season.
Not really.
Like in the Phillies. When I was a little kid, I wanted to watch more Phillies baseball.
I remember in the Phillies.
Sounds like you were a whiny little
I
kid.
remember.
Hell yeah, it was.
I remember the Phillies' last regular season game. They would always have a video of the whole season,
Yeah.
and they'd put a song to it. Oh, it would always choke me up even as a kid.
It was at the end of the year.
Wow, you guys are soft.
Well, that's
Listen,
Not
that
my
could be.
generation.
Yeah, now your generation.
Please.
All right, coming our way next, it is the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3, the 3 best minutes from today's show. And then we cross things over with the man who hosts our midday program, the great Bob Cooney. We just talked about Bob. You'll hear his voice coming your way next. It is Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The countdown to the NFL Draft is underway.
go to the contest page, 975thefanatic.com, and nominate somebody. We had some great moments last Friday where we called the winners live on the radio, and it was emotional. It was beautiful. So we'll do that again this Friday and Friday, April 26th. So make sure you check that out. And again, one more time, thank you to Wawa. They dropped off some donuts and some goodies today.
Happy 60th.
Tomorrow, 60th birthday for Wawa tomorrow, which is fantastic. The first store was in Folsom, PA on April 16th, 1964. And now they're everywhere.
It moved a couple blocks away
Okay.
from the original location because they opened up one that's big in Folsom.
Okay.
But the store was the original 001. Was in Folsom.
That's awesome.
And they still have a Folsom Wawa.
And tomorrow you can visit any Wawa and get a free any size hot coffee all day. So check that
That's
out
awesome.
tomorrow. So thank you again to Wawa for dropping off some goodies. The birthday cake donut was delicious. You can get them tomorrow for 60 cents.
For someone as slim as you are, you can wolf.
I can eat
something like I've never seen.
I can eat.
You really can.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a former fat kid in me. I can eat. All right. It's time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Here's our main topic today. So we have a question for you guys. I'll just ask the question right away, and then I'll explain. Do we really have it all that bad here? And I asked that question. You brought it up quickly last week. I've said it a couple of times. It kind of stems off of my we're in the good old days kind of conversation. The question, do we really have it all that bad, is the Philadelphia sports scene. Even though it's been lots of heartache at the end of seasons, the fact that we have heartache means the teams are actually playing well, and they're successful, and they're making runs, and that should be celebrated.
I would say to you, better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
Yeah.
I would rather go to the NFC title game and lose than be a team that never gets to the NFC title game.
So the
Or
old
goes
Je-
out in
the old
the
Jeff
wild card
Fisher,
round.
8-8.
Right. The Phillies season last year, the end of it sucked.
Right.
The Braves series is going to put a smile on my face the second year in a row that we knock out the Braves. Personally, it means a lot for me.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. I love having hand over friends and everything. But I will tell you, that to me, I'd rather go through the heartache of Game 6 and 7 against Arizona than not be there to go through the heartache.
Absolutely.
I've never understood the logic of this losing, man. I just can't take it anymore. I think Wednesday is pretty much it. You got to win Wednesday.
No, you have to win
For
Wednesday.
me to buy into a long-term run, I have to see them win Wednesday.
So are you concerned about Embiid?
Yes.
Because my first thought was to kind of what Connor was saying last week, to be careful with Embiid. Because if you lose Embiid, you have absolutely no chance. The fact that he would go back into the game Friday night and play as well as he did Friday night, I'm not that worried about his health right now.
I don't trust the Sixers in handling injury. And I do not believe that yesterday, with everything that was on the line, they said, oh, yeah, we're fine. We can take care of this Nets team without him. I don't believe that was the case. And that's just my skepticism on that.
Phil split with the Pirates. My demand,
Thanks, Connor.
My demand of a 3-1, series victory. Connor, it's okay.
Connor Thomas.
It's
should be
okay.
thanking me.
Let them split. It's all
I'm trying to
good.
protect you guys from yourself.
They lost to Bailey Falter.
You need to start listening to me because I'm trying to protect you from yourself.
And the
with
Pirates.
the Embiid
What do you
thing,
mean? What do you
with
mean
the
I have
Pirates
to
thing.
listen to you? You said that you thought they were going to split. That doesn't make me happier.
I never said it should make you happier.
But why are you saying listen to you? I don't want to listen to you then.
I'm preparing you for the possibility that they split with a team that came in pretty hot to the series.
We'll go to the Flyers. They beat the Devils 1-0. Right? You're just sitting there going, please just win this freaking hockey game.
I was like, I seriously am like, would you just hold on? My wife was saying to me, I had just come home from being out.
Right.
And she said, for God's sakes, you are screaming. Like in the last, get it up in front of the net.
Well, because they scored the goal in the second period. Now it's 20 minutes in the third of just your nail biting the whole time.
And I would tell you, I am willing to go back. I have hardbound notebooks. I am willing to be able to say, hey, Torts, here's a notebook. Because the Flyers power play is freaking horrendous. Yes. And I guarantee you that at least my power play, now I'm not saying I could coach an NHL team, but I promise you that I could say, here's what we're doing on the power play.
Right.
And it would look
so much better.
Much better.
It's been pretty bad.
Oh, my gosh.
But that
they're alive.
win keeps them alive. The Sixers are the 7th seed. So because of this stupid tiebreaker scenario, it's dumb.
It's
a
dumb.
league that does not value division. The Orlando Magic win their division. They're the 5th seed. So it doesn't do anything for the conference except for a tiebreaker scenario. So the Sixers still people get screwed out of this. The question, do we really have it all that bad, is the Philadelphia sports scene. Even though it's been lots of heartache at the end of seasons, it is better here. I could make the case that Philadelphia is probably the best sports scene across the country. All right, that was the Kincade Salciunas Key 3, and it's time now for the crossover with our man Bob Cooney. Bobby, good morning.
That's why they made the Iverson statue the way they did. Like people down there told me that. They were thinking of doing the ear cup, but then they heard our crossover, and they said,
let's change it to the crossover. Is that why it's so small?
That's what they did. Well, there's going to be a bunch of them around there.
No, I just don't. The outrage of the size. They're all this, but people, it's not public, so people don't see it.
Plus,
it was cold out a
there's
little bit.
Shrinkage.
You know, some of them look bigger because they're rebounding. Moses Malone is going up to get a rebound.
Yes.
Bobby Jones one is actually diving on the floor.
For a ball, yeah.
I think it's actually beautiful.
It's awesome.
I'll tell you what, their faces, I went around and looked at all of them on Friday. The faces are unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'll see statues, bobbleheads, and it's like, who's that?
Who's that guy?
But their faces, you right away, you know who they are.
So, our question today, before we find out what's going on today with you, the sports scene in Philadelphia. We talked about how it may not be as bad as what a lot of people make it out to be because of the losses in championships and NLCSs. That all hurts. But the fact that they're there makes this a good sports scene. And I'm not saying as fans. I'm saying as the team.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome. There's no question about it.
I would say one of the best in the country right now.
Talk to me about the Phillies from 1996 to 2004.
Exactly.
No one was talking about
silence,
exactly.
right? No, who cares? But you can sit here and argue about, man, 2022 Phillies. How do you lose to Arizona? Blah, blah, blah. You have all those talking points. You can talk the 0 for 36 that the Stars went. You can talk about Rob Thompson pulling Zach Wheeler the year before.
Right.
Like, those are great talking points. I don't say negative. They're factual. Hurtful talking points, but talking points nonetheless.
Heartbreaking talking points.
Apathy is the worst thing in sports.
Exactly.
You don't have it here.
And John
We don't
said
have any
it,
of
you
that
know, we would like to lose in the Super Bowl every single year.
I mean, I don't want to lose the Super Bowl,
right,
but I'd rather lose there than lose in the wild card game.
Yeah, you'd like to go to the Super Bowl every year. Sure, absolutely.
Now, I did say, and Connor asked, when's the breaking point? Because I imagine the Bills fans may have had a breaking point.
When they lost 4 in a row?
4 Super Bowls in a row.
And then they've never been back.
And then they've never been back. Yeah, so that may have been tough. But,
yeah.
you know, right now, we got it good here.
Absolutely, no question about it. And, you know, it is the roaring 20s. And
Yeah.
hopefully you come out with a few championships. I thought your topic months ago about am I living in the glory days now was a real thoughtful one and a good one. And if you wind up getting a couple championships in the next couple of years, few years, you're going to have to add the years that you were talking about as the glory days.
All right, is Embiid okay?
Yeah, it's funny. I had a friend text me yesterday. I'm worried. I said, relax, Grasshopper. That's exactly what I said. I said, Grasshopper, relax. He won't play today. They'll win by 20 because the Nets don't have anybody. They know what they're doing. It's okay. He's fine. I'm not worried about that a little bit.
That's good.
Can you calm down, John, for me?
Kate and Ala using hopeful over and over again yesterday, and it was they never did not mention it without using the word hopeful that he would play in the.
Well, that's a team talked about thing.
Also,
if you're going to talk about Joel, just make sure you use the word hopeful.
Speaking of Allah,
they practiced
He
on
doesn't have
Saturday. He went
headphones
through
on.
everything. I think everything's fine.
tell him to plug his guest today.
And Ala's with us today on your
Ala
on
will
the
be
station?
on our show at 1:30. Bill Colarulo is joining us for the show today.
Okay.
So, yeah, a lot of Sixers, Phillies, Flyers talk. And, yeah, we'll be ready to roll. And a question about the Masters that we're going to throw out there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
We'll be listening. Come
Would
up
you
at
or
10
wouldn't you?
o'clock.
All right, boys.
What's that supposed to mean?
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner. It's his Liberation Day today. The Davis CPA Group. It's tax day.
Oh, yeah.
Make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. And again, thanks to the folks at Bryn Mawr Hospital for getting me through for a couple nights and a little bump in the road on my recovery. But I am feeling great today and glad to be back.
And we're glad that you are back, and you look better.
I'm feeling
you too. Trust me, you look better today.
Thanks, I'm feeling better.
It's good to have you back. Week number 5 kicked off today. We're back at it tomorrow, and we have a major Flyers game tomorrow night.
And 2 pairs of Flyers tickets to give away tomorrow.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Everybody have a great rest of your day. Bob Cooney coming your way next for Kincade Salciunas. See you tomorrow. 9